What's up, Doc? The world of Looney Tunes games is vast and impressive. Did you know there are over 400 games? I got it wrong! Well, there are, and one of them is even releasing right now. Yep, Looney Tunes continues to thrive and survive, but not just in its games. In the past year we've seen new series, crossovers, new movies, and even cartoons rivaling the originals. But let's stick to the games for now. I'm going to be playing every single Looney Tunes game. Yes, that includes flash games, bootlegs, and a couple of other surprises here and there. So grab some carrots as a snack as we dive into the good, the bad, the weird, and the despicable. I think I'm the only person in the world to have played all 430 Looney Tunes games. Should I be proud of this? Probably not, but here we are! What are we looking for from a Looney Tunes game? Well, besides hopefully being fun and good, we'd like to see something funny, something creative, something, you know, loony. I want some wacky flair with the wacky hair. I'm also looking to see a very specific mouse. Sniffles is one of my favourite Looney Tunes characters from the late 30s, early 40s, and is sadly overlooked constantly. All I want is one game. One game just to feature him and I'll be happy. This is specifically video games, just to clarify. I have a Looney Tunes Monopoly board game, but we won't be talking about that here. Maybe another time. We've got enough games to talk about as it is. So let's begin. It only feels right that we start with the first ever Looney Tunes game. Looney Tunes Hotel, featuring Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, the Devil! As the first game, it's as primitive as it comes. You go through doors to escape the foes, and that's it. That's the game. It's slow to react, so it's hard to play unfortunately, but this is from 1983 for the Atari 5200, so it's not too surprising that it's chugging along. But from here, it only gets better. You know what? Bugs Bunny looking like he's about to shank me is exactly the kind of energy I want from my Looney Tunes games. Now this is more like it. Same year as Looney Tunes Hotel, just for the Atari 2600 this time, and what an improvement! The animations are actually lovely, and the gameplay is pretty fun, not gonna lie. Sure, Elmer looks a little goofy, especially with that grin, but he has the right to be happy, because instead of his shotgun, he's replaced it with a machine gun, and Bugs Bunny dies! That's all, folks. Good game. This is the greatest image of Taz that ever has been and ever will be. I don't think I need to say anything more about this game. It's another 1983 classic, and Taz has to avoid the dynamite and eat the burgers. It's fun, but it's pretty basic. Now, this is where the fun begins. Roadrunner for Atari 2600, NES, and DOS. This is our final Atari game, but yes, there are two other versions which play fairly differently. This video is going to cover every deviation of every game. Why? 'Cause I'm loony! What other reason can you need? The NES version is definitely the best. Wile gets to take the Roadrunner home, and as a fan of the Super Genius himself, this makes me very happy. But real talk, the game feels pretty fun to play and has some cool ideas to make each playthrough worth it. The DOS version is pretty similar, but a lot more unresponsive. As for the Atari version, well, the characters look a little like roadkill, but it's fun to try and chain birdseed combos as you mow down Wile when you lose a life. No, wait, that was a joke about roadkill! Oh, I'm so sorry! At this point it would be fun to mention Twitch. I was streaming the series on Twitch, but referring to it as all the Lonitons. For some reason, Twitch has the word loony banned from titles. I mean, I know why, because of the other connotations. But when there are actual game titles that can show up just underneath the title, and that's totally fine, it seems really dumb. Just thought I'd share that little anecdote. It's back to the DOS games, and I'm quite impressed with this one. Bugs Bunny Cartoon Workshop opens with Bugs staring at you suggestively, blinking a lot like he has some kind of problematic eye infection. But honestly, this is really cool, especially for 1990. It's a scene creator. There's a bunch of pre-made assets and animations, and you get to make your own story. It's a little slow and clunky, but it's really fun to mess around with. Here's what I threw together in 3 minutes. The Bugs Bunny Harebrained Adventure is the next DOS masterpiece, and again, it's pretty darn good. To be fair though, I'm a sucker for Gossamer, so that was always going to be a winner. Your goal is to explore the labyrinth and collect the keys to escape. Labyrinth was a word I used for a reason, because wow, you're going to get lost looking for these keys. You need 4 of them, and I spent 10 minutes searching for just 1 of them, and I was constantly treading new ground. So good luck getting all of them. It is a lot of fun though, genuinely intense at times in the best ways, so good game. And now the final DOS game, Daffy Duck P.I. The Case of the Missing Letters. That is a mouthful. You play as Daffy, the brilliant private investigator, most likely inspired by the movie Daffy Duck Quackbusters. It's essentially a kid's spelling game, but some of it is legitimately difficult. Not the spelling aspect, but the enemies you have to avoid. They are ruthless. If you want to play any of the DOS games, I used the website classicreload.com. All the DOS games are preserved and playable there as of the time of making this. Give them a go. Would it surprise you if I told you there are pinball tables for Looney Tunes? 2 of them, in fact. Bugs Bunny's Birthday Ball in 1991 and Space Jam in 1996. I don't know what else to say apart from it's pretty cool that these exist, and they are archived so you can play them, but they are a pain to set them up, so really good luck with that. If you like pinball, have fun shooting the basketball past Michael Jordan's armpits a couple thousand times. I should also mention that there are slot machines and a back-in-action pachinko machine, but I'm not here to promote gambling, so they can disappear right along with Dusty Tails' innocent attire. Maybe we should deviate from the natural release order a bit and show something iconic.
And this is a special message to Teal Game Master. F you! F you! For making me do this every time I boot this game up!
Bugs Bunny lost in time. Bugs Bunny lost in time. Bugs Bunny lost in time. Bugs Bunny lost in time.
That's right, I got a special mention in Caddicarus' video. My first ever review was of Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, and I asked him to check it out and give me feedback. It was a fairly terrible review, but he was super kind, gave me feedback, and here we are. I apparently tormented him with that, and now I'll do the same to you, so you are welcome. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time is arguably the best game in this entire video. This is the one you're here to see. Well, this and a couple others, but this is the goldmine. Bugs Bunny Lost in Time is not only a damn fine 3D platformer having superb design, excellent visuals, and just a wonderful sense of what's fun, but it captures the cartoons perfectly. Every level is either a direct reference or inspired by a cartoon, and it doesn't take much to recognize it. If you've seen the cartoon, in most cases it feels like you're playing your childhood, and that might be the best form of praise I could ever give. The entire soundtrack is a bop, the bosses are creative, and again, directly reference cartoons. The story is awesome, paying homage and bringing back Merlin from Nightmare Hair, and even references the thumb trick. I'm trying to do the thumb trick, but it's just, no, come on, thumb. You can't reinvent the wheel or create fire, what good are you for? Bugs Bunny Lost in Time will forever be the best Looney Tunes game, and considering it came out in 1999, that's kinda disappointing. It's been 23 years and nothing has topped it. Well, almost nothing. Bugs and Taz, Bugs and Taz, Bugs and Taz Time Busters. Bugs and Taz, Bugs and Taz Time Busters. Bugs and Taz Time Busters. Oh, did you think Lost in Time was the only one that worked with? How wrong you were! I'll ruin all your favourite games. Line them up one by one. Bugs and Taz Time Busters launched 1 year later and is a perfect sequel. Okay, so they step away from the references to classic cartoons a bit, as they go with an original story, but it's still all about time travel. Granny is the smartest person who ever lived, as she created a time regulator. But she also has a volatile Taz as a pet and hired Daffy to get rid of a mouse, which led to him causing a destabilization in the time matrix or something. So maybe that's debatable whether she's intelligent or not. You have a Taz who could gobble that rodent without a second thought. Come on, Granny. The references to classic cartoons seem to be mostly in its boss stages, with the exception to the Aztec era, which is Yosemite Sam. As far as I'm aware, prior to 2000, there wasn't a cartoon where he was from that era, but that's okay, because a difference level features Gruesome Gorilla. Gruesome Gorilla was from a bunch of cartoons like Gorilla My Dreams or Apes of Wrath. The Viking era is a direct reference to What's Opera Dark, which is bloody magnificent. The Arabian era features Baba Chup from Ali Baba Bunny, and the Transylvanian era features Count Blood Count from Transylvania 5000. Also, I refuse to believe these characters aren't inspired by the Monstars in Space Jam. These aren't the only direct references. You ride on a dragon from 99 Bugs in the level Sacred Ride, and I'm pretty sure Zoomania is here because Taz is in a cartoon that features a zoo. So what makes this game so great? Well, they've mostly got original levels and they're all pretty awesome. The hub worlds have a lot more life to them, the level design is just as good if not better, the soundtrack is still exceptional, the visuals are gorgeous, and this game is 2-player. You must play as Bugs and Taz. You can do this on your own, and honestly, it feels great. You'd think it'd be awkward because you have to trek them both around, but actually the level design caters to that, so it doesn't feel annoying. But also, you can play with a friend. You can even dip in or out at the press of a button in the menu. As a sequel to what Lost in Time set up, this continues the foundation and excels. There's even more variety in the gameplay by adding a lot more minigames and puzzles. These two are the absolute best when it comes to the series, and hopefully one day we can see another game like it, because what a treat they are. Moving away from PS1, when you enter the SNES era of Looney Tunes titles, this is when the games start to feel a lot more like Looney Tunes. But not in how they look, but specifically in how they act. Now it can feel like a Looney Tunes game. You really feel like Bugs Bunny, you really feel like the Roadrunner, you really feel like Spider-Man. Roadrunner's Death Valley Rally has you be the Roadrunner as you escape Wile Coyote. But what's great about this is Wile just shows up out of nowhere with a ton of different ACME gadgets and costumes from the cartoons. And I know it's a meme joke, but you truly do feel like the Roadrunner. This, as well as a couple other games, is as close as an experience as you'll get to being them in the cartoon. That's pretty amazing, I think. Oh, is it time? Time to talk about the other series? So, Tiny Toon Adventures. This series follows the adventures of a group of young cartoon characters who attend ACME University to become the next generation of characters for the Looney Tunes series. It ran from 1990 to 1995 with 98 episodes and a couple of specials, and is an awesome cartoon. Fun fact, I somehow hadn't seen it prior to making this video. I know, Mr. Looney Tunes over here is a fraud. It's actually getting a new revival series called Tiny Toons Looniversity this year, which is pretty cool. But we're here to talk about games. The first Tiny Toon Adventures game is Tiny Toon Adventures for the NES. This game is legitimately fascinating as it has some really cool ideas. I don't think all of them work though. For a start, it looks and plays a lot like Mario Bros. 3 in certain ways. Plucky Duck is essentially a permanent Tanuki Mario, which is amazing. So you start the game with a choice of multiple characters, each of which feel very different, and not picking Plucky for how overpowered Flight is would be a sin, but the others are fun to play as, to be fair. You play as Buster, and switch if you find a star ball, so in other words, you're rarely playing as Buster. The second level of each world has you trapped in a room with Elmira, and if she catches you before the door appears and you go through it, she sends you back to the beginning of the world, which is a choice? I get that it's in character, but why? Tiny Toon Adventure 2, Trouble in Wacky Land, released for the NES a year later in 1992, which is a short title about characters from the show completing stages in Wacky Land to gain entrance to the castle. I know the whole gimmick is supposed to be that it's wacky, but people can die here. We're gonna need a team of health and safety inspectors in on this place. I don't want my friends and family visiting. Tiny Toon Adventure Cartoon Workshop for the NES is like the DOS game where you create your own scenes, but much more improved, and I think my art speaks for itself. Meanwhile... Yes. Yes. Meanwhile indeed. Meanwhile, this happened. This was a thing that I made, and you know what? I wouldn't change a damn thing, because it was perfect. It's art. Spielberg couldn't create something like this. He doesn't have the artistic vision to understand the complexities of what this is. It's fair to say that the games of this era were pretty challenging, and Tiny Toon Adventure Buster Busts Loose for the SNES is no exception. But whilst difficult, this is definitely one of my favourites. The gameplay is fun, the animation's smooth, the art style gorgeous, and if you've not seen Tiny Toons before, this game might be very weird. Literally, episode 2 of the cartoon is a blatant reference to Star Wars, featuring the villain Duck Vader, obviously copying Yoda, and Babs Bunny's signature cinnamon bun hair, referencing Adam Driver. Not any character in particular, just Adam Driver. He would have been 6 at the time. I don't really know where this joke was going. Looney for the sake of being toony, I guess. Anyway, this single episode is the stage for this game's final level and boss, so, you know, fair enough then. Next we have Tiny Toon Adventures Babs' Big Break for the Game Boy. It's a fun little 2D platforming romp, solid platforming all around, but my favourite bit is when Buster's on a bike, Elmira comes out of nowhere, squeezes him half to death, and then he just submits and enjoys it. Tiny Toon Adventure 2, Montana's Movie Madness for the Game Boy, has an odd charm. It takes what the previous Game Boy games did, and, well, does more of it, but this boss fight really gives me Cuphead vibes. It's very busy, but also very manageable, so it's earned my respect. Here we are at Tiny Toon Adventures Buster's Hidden Treasure for the Genesis. This is my favourite Tiny Toons game, easily. It's essentially a Sonic clone. It feels very much like one from its gameplay to its level design, and it has an awesome soundtrack. Oh hey, look at this! Little Sneezer is the younger counterpart to Sniffles. This is the closest we've come to actually seeing them. Oh, that's lovely. Sure, there are a couple of cheap tricks that the game can pull, but I absolutely loved it. I kept wanting to keep going, which is a hard thing to make me do when I'm playing over 300 games here. Are you ready for 3 sports games back to back? All 3 of these were released in 1994. Why there was an emergence of sports titles, I don't know, but here they are. Tiny Toons Adventures ACME All-Stars for the Genesis features 5 sports: basketball, bowling, bonk max, bringing the speed around the track, and boot ball. Okay, those last 2 were racing and football, but all the others started with a B. I wanted to keep the consistency. All of them feel pretty good to play, there's just not a whole lot going on, unfortunately. Tiny Toons Adventures Wacky Sports for the Game Boy is unfortunately pretty dull. Don't know what it is, it just didn't grab me at all. Tiny Toons Adventures Wacky Sports Challenge for the SNES, however, did. I played this last year with my friend for a different Extreme video where we're playing through every party game, link in the description. But no, seriously, this is a solid 2-player sports game. A collection of fun minigames with different degrees of difficulty unlocking different challenges. What's not to love? All of the games above were developed by Konami, but their reign ends here, and that's reflected in the quality of the upcoming games. There are a couple exceptions though, like this first one. You know what? I didn't expect a point-and-click adventure, and I don't know why. It seems like such an obvious thing for Looney Tunes. Point-and-click games are all about clicking everything, and a unique, funny, loony animation happens. So this is Tiny Toon Adventure The Great Beanstalk for PS1. It goes by a different title on PC known as Buster and the Beanstalk, and it's a little better because using a mouse instead of a controller for a point-and-click game is better. But it's pretty fun. If you're into these types of games, this will be right up your alley. Tiny Toon Adventures Toonenstein for the PS1 is an interesting game. It's not a point-and-click, but it is an animation discovery game. Just a lot slower and not fun. I found this damning review by Game Cult from October of 2000. This is translated from French, but it reads, Toonenstein does not even deserve to be anecdotal. Interactivity close to nothing. Realization of the same ilk, grotesque lifespan. All the ingredients of the software to be forgotten, even before having discovered it is there. Even the argument of easy gaming for very young audiences should be banned, as everything in this game turns out to be mediocre. Rare are the software to flee with such conviction. Wow, that is a 1 out of 10 review. Let's briskly move on faster than the game does. There's one more PS1 title, Tiny Toon Adventures Plucky's Big Adventure. To avoid doing homework, Plucky wants to invent a time machine to go back to do the homework. This game is a very boring walking sim, and when Elmira catches you, you motorboat her. Alright, moving on. The dev team who made the previous game is called Warthog. Remember that name, it'll be important. Their next game is Tiny Toon Adventure Buster Saves the Day for the Game Boy Color. They released 3 games in 2001, and actually I really like this one. It's a very simple platformer, but I find it quite addicting. Fair play to them. And then they also made Tiny Toon Adventures Wacky Stackers. This is basically Puyo Puyo. Nothing else to say, moving on. We'll see you later, Warthog. Tiny Toon Adventures Dizzy's Candy Quest for the Game Boy Color is fascinating. What does Horizon Forbidden West have in common with this game? Horizon is the most recent title, Tiny Toons was the first. This is by the dev team Formula before they became Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla was originally a team called Lost Boy Games, which was a merger of 3 companies, one of which was Formula. However, this was partly developed when they were Lost Boy Games, so this is the first for Guerrilla. What a crazy journey this company has had, but honestly, this game rules. It's such a fun puzzle game. Challenging, yes. Worth playing? Absolutely. Just as a piece of gaming history, honestly, it's worth playing. Are you ready for the final Tiny Toon game? Tiny Toon Adventure Buster's Bad Dream for the Game Boy Advance was made by the dev team Treasure, and it's such a shame that this was the only Tiny Toons game they made. It's a bit repetitive, but there's a great game here. It's a beat 'em up where you team up with other characters, each with drastically different abilities, and it's fun to experiment with their powers. After all the time we've got to spend with this cast, it's great to let off some steam and beat the living hell out of some snakes and jaguars. What a journey this has been. Oh wow, is that Bugs Bunny? Happy 50th birthday, Bugs. 1990 is genuinely the 50th anniversary if you discount the cartoons with earlier Bugs Bunny concepts. Elmer's Candid Camera is the cartoon I consider to be the true first Bugs Bunny cartoon, as although he looks and sounds a little different, the personality is there. To celebrate Bugs' birthday, he actually got a game for the NES. Every other Looney Tunes character is jealous he's getting a party when they didn't, so they're going to kill him. No, really, that's not a joke! It's a genuinely solid platformer, pretty challenging, and terrifying when Tweety emerges from a bush the size of Bugs to kill him. Of course you realise this means war! I'll kill Tweety first with a hammer, so it's all good. It's just murder! What's the big deal? I was going to make a joke about the pointlessness of killing someone over a birthday party, but people have killed in real life for less, and that just makes me sad. Small tangent, did you know that there are a fair few Who Framed Roger Rabbit games? I looked into them as maybe they'd actually have Looney Tunes characters cameoing in the games like they appear in the movie. Well, no such luck, so let's swiftly move on. I did want to mention the games though, if only to mention that I spent a couple minutes looking into it. They were my precious minutes. We're looking at a real gem here. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote for the Commodore 64, Amstrad CPC, and ZX Spectrum. The sound effects are disgusting, but genuinely I had a great time. The gameplay is fairly bare bones, but it's really impressive for the hardware, and it's just good fun. You have my respect, I hope they'll remember you. Oh ho, there's another Commodore 64 game. Bugs Bunny Private Eye is a lot more impressive than the previous one, as it was released 2 years later, but what I love most about this is the way Bugs digs around the level. It's simply delightful, especially for 1993. Oh god, am I gonna have to try and explain the TAZ-MANIA multiverse? Alright, so TAZ-MANIA was released for Genesis, Game Gear, Master System, SNES, and Game Boy. And every single one of those is different, even the Game Gear and Master System versions. Let's start with the Master System version. This game is tough. The spin that Taz produces makes you move so fast. I'm not going to say it's uncontrollable because it's not, it just takes time to adjust to the rhythm of the Okay, I keep mistyping Taz as Tax, and that has got to stop, because I'm going to inadvertently let slip that he avoids paying them. TAZ-MANIA on the Game Gear is so drastically different, it's like night and day. The Master System is, well, tough, fun, and well designed. This is just... The first level, you have to very quickly learn how to play or you'll be crushed. I do like how intense it is though. Then the second level is a maze. Pick the right path or loop back to the beginning, and there's a lot of choices to pick from and it's not well indicated which way to go, so thank you for that. The Genesis version is bizarre. The soundtrack is just weird. I'm not going to say bad because there will be fans of it, it's just weird. But the second level is so cramped and confusing and everything tries to kill you. I found it really strangely disorientating. I like the game, but it makes some strange decisions for sure. Next up we got the SNES version, which is completely different from the rest. For a start, it's 3D. You're constantly running forward trying to catch birds, and once you collect enough of them, Taz gets his stomach pumped, the birds escape and the level's over. This was my favourite TAZ-MANIA game alongside the Master System version. It's such a fun time. I mean, it's essentially an endless runner before that became a thing. Okay, you do have a timer, but the general gameplay is the same. Also, this bus icon looks like Among Us. Finally, we move on to the Game Boy. In PAL regions, it's called Tasmanian Devil in Island Chase, but it is TAZ-MANIA in the US. This game is really hard. I do not know how people beat this, especially on such a small screen that you could barely make out, but it's not the hardest TAZ-MANIA game. Surprise! There's a secret 6th TAZ-MANIA! Technically. 3 years later, TAZ-MANIA 2 was released in the US. In PAL regions, it's just called TAZ-MANIA. That's not confusing at all! TAZ-MANIA 2 likes to throw all kinds of devious traps your way, and most of them will probably get you the first time. Beating this game is an achievement, one I don't care enough to get. I watched a long play though, that took up some time, would have taken up more too if I wasn't watching at ×2 speed. The next game's name will blow your mind, it is so loony. It's called Looney Tunes. Joking aside, this game is actually awesome. Released for the Game Boy in '92 and re-released in colour in '99, this has 7 levels where each new level has you playing as a different character. That in itself is pretty cool, but even better than that, each character feels totally different. They've essentially created 7 mini-games in one, which I really appreciated. It's not a long game, but it's definitely a fun time. Speedy Gonzales for the Game Boy is an odd one. For being the fastest mouse in all of Mexico, I expected Speedy to be, well, Speedy. But hey, at least you get to collect these cookies around the level. Oh wait, these are pieces of cheese? I mean, I could sort of see it, but they also just look like cookies. Well, let me collect these ones here. What?! You cannot lead me to a death pit, come on! But this game does have one amazing thing going for it. The game over screen has a sad rendition of the Looney Tunes theme, and it is just amazing. Speedy Gonzales in Los Gatos Bandidos for the SNES was one of the better games I played for this video. It is challenging for sure, but I just enjoyed everything the game was doing, at least up until the first boss. That felt so, I guess, boring and awkward, but well, what can you do? Part of the sound effects for the second level is really grating. It sounds like my brain is being cleaned and scrubbed. It just sounds horrible. Your mice friends have been kidnapped and you've got to save them. If you fail and game over, you get one of the most disturbing and sad game over screens in Looney Tunes games. Why is it only the Speedy Gonzales games that do that? Clawing its way next is Cheese Cat-Astrophe. Get it? They want you to get it. This is for the Genesis, and I've got to immediately point out the intro. Speedy goes off to get his crush, or girlfriend, or lover, or friend's second cousin's sister some flowers when she's kidnapped by Sylvester. But then the title screen makes it look like it's all about getting cheese away from him, like the cartoon Here Today Gone Tamale. Then, as soon as you start, Bugs Bunny shows up like it's some kind of meme bootleg image. I mean, it's pretty good. For gameplay, all you need to do is find all your friends before you can move on to the next stage. It's fun enough, but I want to talk about the Game Gear Master System version next. The gameplay is mostly the same objectives, but the level design is different, and everything is much more creepy in this version. Look at this horrifying plant. What is this? Oh my word. Another day, another Bugs Bunny game. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle for the NES and Game Boy. This is a series that spans 13 years, so much so that I think we're going to have to go through all of these back to back. There's a huge story to all of this. A story of drama, deception, and hierarchy. Sort of. The first game for the NES and Game Boy is the most basic of the series, as they don't explore too many concepts and it cycles between the same kind of bare bones level, but it is pretty fun. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2 is a much better game. Made exclusively for the Game Boy in 1991, it sets out to improve on everything the first game did, and it succeeds. The levels feel a little more linear, as you have to now collect all the keys within the doors, but in the sense that it feels like you're trying to complete a puzzle carefully constructed by the developers. The level design is just really good. Like, that's it, that's the secret to this game's success. The level design rules! Well done, developers. Also, Tweety is bigger than Bugs and it scares me so much. Why has this happened? Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 3 released much later in 1997 for the Game Boy and 1999 for the Game Boy Color. This game is awesome. It's like the perfect combination of 1 and 2. It's the puzzle gameplay of 2, but with the openness of the first game, and I love it. I'll tell you what though, it's not an easy game, but it'll keep you playing for ages as there's 60 levels for you to face. Gotta give it credit where it's due, it's a solid game. Now with Crazy Castle 4, I won't spend too much time on it as it's mostly the same, the difference being it was released in 2000, again on the Game Boy Color, with 100 levels. Scattered across 13 worlds, the main gimmick is that this chest is a mimic. That's kind of fun. But the story of Crazy Castle doesn't end there. This is where things truly get crazy. The first Crazy Castle game wasn't always about Bugs Bunny. In fact, it was initially designed in Japan as a Roger Rabbit game. When porting it overseas, they thought that Roger Rabbit wasn't relevant anymore, so they made a quick fix to change him to Bugs Bunny. However, when the game was made for Game Boy, in Japan that version had Mickey Mouse. I know, bizarre. Crazy Castle 2 is the same story. Bugs is there in the US, Mickey Mouse in Japan and Europe this time, but the game was re-released in Europe a couple years later with Hugo of all things, and it sold really well, at over 200,000 units, enough to get a Platinum Sales Award. Bugs Bunny was the only character in every region for 3 and 4, and I bet the marketing team had a lot of work to do when they released Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 3 without 1 and 2 out in the wild. But the story doesn't end there. There is a 5th Crazy Castle game, however this one isn't Looney Tunes. No, it's... Yep, Woody Woodpecker! Why? Absolutely no clue. This is by the same developers, this time for the Game Boy Advance, and... I know this is mean, but it looks worse. I'm gonna say it reminds me of Santa Claus Saves the Earth. It has that kind of vibe. Actually, no, it has the vibe of a bootleg. Which moves nicely into our next segment. Let's talk about bootlegs. We have 10 bootleg titles in all, so let's begin with the 3 Tiny Toon Adventures bootlegs for the NES. This is Donkey Kong. Yes, Dom-Key Kong. It basically just changes Buster Bunny, and that's about it. Nothing to scream about, unless Donkey scares you, then fair enough. The next one is more substantial. Felix vs. Jerry. Felix the Cat vs. Giant Jerry the Mouse. I kind of love this. It's also fun to see Woodstock from the Peanuts comic as one of the other playable characters. And finally, Super Mario Bros. 6. You play as Mario. It makes perfect sense this would happen, given that the game was heavily inspired by Super Mario Bros. 3. And speaking of, that leads nicely into our next bootleg game, Tiny Toon Adventures 2. Mario Bros 14 is the same idea, you play as Mario. Oh, but wait, what will happen in the pinball stage? Yes, brilliant. This is what I was hoping for. A little jank, a little cursed. Thank you for not disappointing me. Tiny Toon Adventures 6 is a bootleg of Babs' Big Break and is mostly the same. Pretty much just the titles changed and some of the text in cutscenes, even though the story is the same. Tiny Toons 4 is a bootleg of Bugs Bunny Birthday Blowout, in name only. Literally only the title screen is changed. Lame. Don't worry though, we'll get to the good stuff in a bit, just you wait and see. Is that foreshadowing? Tiny Toon 3 Crazy Castle is a bootleg of Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle, and again just seems to be a title screen swap. But now is when the fun begins. Speedy Gonzales on the Game Boy. It makes perfect sense to swap out a fast character for another, so this one is Sonic 6. You strangely enough start in the third world of the game, but yep, this for sure is Sonic. Doesn't control like him, but he's here. My favourite thing has to be the game over screen. Aw, bless him. The poor little hedgehog didn't unalive. Next up is Sonic the Hedgehog SNES. This is based on Speedy Gonzales, Los Gatos, Bandidos, and oh, this one is good. You rescue Mario from the cages and the sounds that play. Oh man, enjoy this. And it's time for the final bootleg. Just wait and see. No, really, that's the name. Wait and see. This one is a little different from the previous games, as this doesn't have a game to model off of. This is an unofficial, unlicensed game, featuring your favourite Looney Tunes characters. Bugs Bunny, Daffy in his earlier cartoons, Bird, Bear, Car, all the classics. I tried to get past level 1, Christ this game is hard. I don't care enough to succeed. It's fairly stuttery, but I didn't hate it. Kinda grew on me, just not enough to play more. Let's begin the Duck Dodgers / Mars block with Daffy Duck the Marvin missions. This was released for both the Game Boy and the SNES in 1993, but they are very different games. Who knew the 24th and a half century is going to be in black and white? Fun fact, when I was a kid and saw black and white films, I genuinely thought in olden days things were just black and white. I mean, at age 5, I think that's a pretty reasonable assumption. Anyway, the game's pretty fun. You have a little jetpack as you platform on Mars to stop Marvin. The SNES version is different, as it more accurately represents the state of the century, being in colour. Yes, I am implying that Duck Dodgers is real, do not take this away from me! This does have a totally different start to each stage. You buy the weapons and items you'll need for the upcoming level, and collect money throughout to purchase things for the next level, and so on. You've got a better blaster, an extra life, a nuke, you know, the normal things you can find in your local store. I gotta say though, I really had a great time with this one. Your jetpack doesn't refuel automatically, so I had to use it sparingly, same with the items. There's a great deal of patience, because whilst it's very satisfying to just launch a nuke immediately, maybe save it for the boss. Or don't, it's your call, you're duck dodgers, you definitely know what you're doing. Taz and Escape from Mars, released for both Genesis and Game Gear. They're very similar, but the level design is different. I really enjoyed the Genesis version. It feels like a natural evolution of the past TAZ-MANIA titles, just this time you're on Mars for some reason. That's not to say the Game Gear Master System version is bad, it just wasn't as good as the Genesis. Something about the Genesis one gave me a Metroid vibe, not in the way that it played, just how it presented itself I guess, and that's never a bad thing. When I was in school, supposed to be doing work, I instead played emulated games, finally experiencing consoles that I didn't have growing up. One of the games I tried to get working was Duck Dodgers, starring Daffy Duck on the N64. I didn't really remember much as I recall the ROM not being great, but finally revisiting it now, I love this game. It is such a solid platformer. The whole plot and intro is very close to that of the original Duck Dodgers cartoon. I can't imagine how exciting it would have been to actually see this cartoon come to life as a fully playable adventure for a kid. If you are wondering what kind of music will be big in the 24th century, you'll be delighted to know the answer is MIDI jazz. It's not a particularly long game, but it is a lot of fun, and since I had a vague memory of that from the little I played, that's all I could ask for. If he's not Duck Dodgers, he's just this ordinary Daffy Dumas duck. Looney Tunes Duck Amuck is a fascinating game. Heavily inspired by a cartoon of the same name, you mess with Daffy, which leads into a minigame based on a different cartoon from Daffy's past. The minigames aren't the best, and having to do 5 rounds is sometimes a bit much, but I respect the concept, which utilises the DS in a fun way. It would probably work really well as a more refined mobile game. Oh, great horny toads! Speaking of mobile, oh, what is this? Cannonball Follies was a fun little mobile game back when mobile games were fairly primitive. Not Snake-level primitive, but, you know, still primitive. I remember playing this when I was supposed to be doing work in school. You control Sam wielding a cannon and have to get the cannonball in the destination. I think there's a little element of rose-tinted glasses, as this is a lot more stiff than I remember. However, it wasn't just a mobile game. It was also a flash game. Wait, what's that? We interrupt what you were currently looking at to go live to Teal with an urgent news flash.
There's too many flash games. There's too many flash games.
There's too many flash games. Well, you heard it here first, bring on the flash games. There's like a billion of these, so let's just spend a couple sentences on each of these so we can get through them in a flash! Incidentally, most of these are archived on Flashpoints, so if you want to play them yourself, that'll be where. The Looney Tunes show Behold the Wizard has Daffy Duck as a wizard, where he must reach the other side of a cliff to an epic soundtrack. Honestly, this is a solid game. I was so pleasantly surprised to how fun this game is and how cursed the dumb wizard Daffy portrait is. It even saves your progress. What a wonderful start. Oh, don't worry, it'll go downhill soon. Daffy's Studio Adventure is an isometric platformer which is deceptively harder than it looks. The music uses different soundtracks from the cartoons, which is pretty cool. Again, I had a good time with it. How long will that last? Looney Tunes Back in Action Puzzle. Oh, that's a sound effect, yeah. Well, it's a jigsaw puzzle of the movie poster, and I failed because the game was deceptive in how the frame is larger than the poster. Great, thank you. If you visit the website, it takes you to the Neopets site. I had no clue Neopets was still around. How awesome is that? Looney Tunes Sylvester Under the Sea has you play as Sylvester trying to catch 10 fish under the sea. I can catch fish 5 times the size of him, but if it has teeth, that is a no-no because your life will go-go. Looney Tunes Crazy Catch is all about fixing Taz's mess in the ACME factory. It's fun enough, I guess, but I kept losing lives for no reason, so if you won't respect my time, then I won't respect yours. Go away, Looney Tunes Crazy Catch. The Looney Tunes show There Goes the Neighborhood is actually amazing. A massive 2D platformer where you switch between Bugs and Daffy, each with a different playstyle. I was so surprised by this game. 4 different levels, each pretty lengthy, with a boss. It's better than a lot of the main games in this list, so I'd give this one a go. Also, Granny's house is terrifying. It's bigger than the entire city of Las Vegas on the inside and is fraught with danger. She lives on the edge. Looney Tunes Safecracker is sadly not about teaching children how to crack safes. It's actually just a put the right image on the right bits of the safe to open it. Lame. The Island of Dr. Moron! Oh wow, this is kind of nostalgic. Some of these games are based on Flash animations. A bunch of the animations were released as DVDs called Stranger Than Fiction and Reality Check. and I genuinely love these cartoons. Some of them are really funny, and this is one of them. The game is alright, crush the horrifying carrot and then move on with your life. Looney Tunes Doodle Pad allows you to doodle, crazy, but then you can play it back as an animation. Looney Tunes supports LGBTQ+ rights, and then I made it cursed because there's a smudge tool, and then I summoned ants because there's an option for some reason. Looney Tunes Coyote Roll lets Wile suffer by rolling down the most perilous hill, avoiding obstacles. When you win, he gets hit by a train, so you technically lose. Hooray! Bugs and Cecil in Mad Dash is all about the hare finally beating the tortoise. He looks bloody cursed when he wins though, so was it really worth it? TAZ-MAN is Pac-Man. It's pretty fun though, not gonna lie. Okay, someone in the comments, you have to settle this for me. This music is from Ape Escape, right? If it's not, it just sounds just like it. What the hell? I need to know! Tweety's cage hop doesn't make much sense to me. Tweety just sort of went where he wanted. You know what? Yeah, fair enough. You be your best self, Tweety. Don't conform to my wishes. You do you. Tweety Let's Decorate is all about making sure the house looks perfect for Christmas, even if it's July. Tweety, you do whatever you want, sweetie. It's okay. Tweety's ocean cleaning makes me so proud. He wants to help the world and I love him for it. Genuinely though, respect to this game for teaching people about cleaning the oceans and linking to sites that gives advice and stuff. A clean planet is a happy planet. Wile E. Coyote's pole vault challenge proves that he is the greatest pole vault athlete to ever live. He flew over that pole. Nothing will top that. Taz's Tropical Havoc has Taz create Tropical Havoc. Who knew? But okay, so this music that plays in this plays in a bunch of other Taz games, and can someone tell me what it is? It sounds like it would play in Bugs Bunny Lost in Time or Bugs and Taz Time Busters. I listened to both of those soundtracks. It is not that. I listened to the other soundtracks for the composer made. It's not from those. What is it? Someone must know. Please, please tell me. Oh man, the Looney Tunes Back in Action microsite is a trip to the past. A lot of it leads to dead links, so I couldn't look at absolutely everything, but wow, this is glorious. I'd be remiss if I didn't also showcase the Space Jam website. Set up in 1996, it is still actually live. You can look at it right now. The dedication to preserving this is absolutely wonderful. In Earthling Eliminators, Marvin finally eliminates some of the Looney Tunes. Well done, my dude. Speedy's Pyramid Rescue is essentially Q*bert. If Speedy gets caught by the bird, you can see how long his tail is. Or it's a very thin penis. Anyway, moving on. While Tweety lays down some fat tracks, help Taz dance in Taz's Dance Fever. Yep, this is a thing. Absolutely glorious. Taz's Jungle Jump is cursed. Taz looks dumb and then dies. Well done, you mad bastard. Now it's time for Tweety's Dance Fever. Oh, did you think it was done? Tweety has some epic moves. Looney Tunes Active Soccer is actually pretty awesome. I really got into this one. Not just because I got to play and score as Lola, her celebration dance was absolutely worth it. We're still not done. It's time for Looney Tunes Dance Floor Domination. It's not as cursed as before, but I kind of love and hate it. Looney Tunes Surf Team has Daffy reach some mad surf and mostly drown in a very laggy experience. Radical. Okay, this is bizarre. Beanstalk Bunny and the Abominable Snow Rabbit is a combination of two cartoons that should not be combined in a Flash game. Why has it been? I don't know. Does it work? Not really. The Abominable Snowman is just there for some reason. Okay. Daffy Duck in Featherweight Duck is just Punch-Out. It's incredibly stupid that this is the first time I've played Punch-Out or a clone of it, and suddenly you must fight Hong Kong Phooey. Honestly, that's pretty cool. Daffy Duck wide receiver is either football or he's massively stretched. The opponents sound like they're throwing up on me. Daffy's Short Circuit is a puzzle game I was bad at. Hooray! Marvin the Martian in Land Grab is a pretty cool game, unironically. I'm sure I've played something like this before, but I can't think what. Destroy a percentage of the land without being touched and you win. That's the first thing they teach you at Genocidal Maniac School, I'm pretty sure. Looney Tunes Blocks is an annoying broken version of Buster Move. Never touched this game. I did enjoy Daffy's game over screen though. Satellite Space Race is just absolute carnage. It's hard to control and near impossible to react to things, but it sure does exist. You can't take that away from it. Marvin the Martian Jetpack Getaway. 1, 2, and 3. Yep, there are 3 of these. They're basically the same game, just different levels. Control Marvin in a jetpack and don't die. I said don't die, Till you fool. Pizza Pie Peril is based on the Flash animation Royal Mallard. Climb the building to deliver the pizza. If you get to the top, Daffy runs away like the princess is in another castle the whole time. What a bastard. Planetary Cleanup 2. Not exactly sure what Planetary Cleanup 1 is, because it's not here, but it's basically asteroids. The trick is to barely move. Even an eager young space cadet could do it. Taz's Football Frenzy has Taz make a touchdown and then return to kill everyone else on the pitch. You know what? I respect that. That's really good. The Scarlet Pumpernickel Sword Duel. What a surprising game. Love the cartoon. Wasn't expecting a game on it. Clang, clang, oh, clang, clang. Burgers and Bombs has Taz eat the burger and the chicken and the pizza and the antacid so he can eat the bombs and more chicken and burgers and hot dogs and his own face if he's desperate. I mean, humans accidentally eat the inside of our own mouths, so... Wile E. Coyote Debris Derby. There is quite a lot of debris to avoid. It's kind of like a bullet hell at times, but I do love it. Witch's Brew. Come see what I got for you. Witch Hazel has been misunderstood. Come with her, she'll make you feel so good. Wait, no, this isn't the KDB song. How you make a love potion. Maybe it is the KDB song. Wooden Nickel Dance Off is so cursed. Yosemite Sam target shooting is kinda boring and impossible to lose on the early levels. Next! Looney Tunes Avalanche Snowboarding taught me that if an avalanche happens, there will be speed pads along the mountain, and if it catches up to you, it'll just spit you back out, so nothing to worry about. Galaxy Hunters is a Duck Dodgers game. You gotta clean up this one-starred galaxy before Duck Dodgers does. It was actually a lot of fun. Can recommend, even though the screen was tiny. Looney Tunes Some Assembly Required is exactly the kind of puzzle game I'm terrible at. Not a bad game, just not for me. Looney Tunes Meme Factory. What the hell is this and why? I made a very pointless non-meme in 2 minutes. I'm not even sorry. I didn't even try. Looney Tunes Looney Launcher is a poor Angry Birds. Let's move on. Looney Tunes Mahjong is Mahjong. Is that how you pronounce it? I've never actually played Mahjong before. I like it though. I really should play the real version at some point. Looney Tunes 10 Differences is Spot the Difference, and I hate how inept I am at these. I just cannot spot them at all for some reason. Anyway, no matter, moving on. Carrot Crisis starts with The Best Face by Bugs Bunny. If you've not seen New Looney Tunes before, and that's the specific name of the series by the way, then Sam is going to be a shock to you. He looks... not good. Anyway, the game is pretty dull. Avoid Sam, get carrots. Snatch the Cash has some exquisite noises. Oh boy. It's finally time to talk about the sub-series that never had any official game releases. This is Baby Looney Tunes Click and Spin. Yep, Baby Looney Tunes was a series that did pretty well, but there's a couple flash games to show what the characters look like. Baby Looney Tunes Mix and Match Peekaboo. Yes, you must match the Peekaboo characters. It's simple, but worth it for Peekaboo. No, really, that's still in my head. Peekaboo won't go away. Also, it wouldn't let me into the next level, so I guess it's as basic as it comes. Looney Tunes Vegas Street Chase is a top-down racing stealth game. That's a weird sentence. Jolly Jigsaw Looney Tunes is a simple jigsaw. That is all there is to it. Sort My Tiles Looney Tunes is basically a square jigsaw. Great, really exciting for this video, thank you very much. Looney Tunes Bubble Shooter is Bust a Move, but actually has correct physics this time. Well, at least that's an improvement. I mean, that's not really a compliment, but Looney Tunes Hidden Stars has you finding the hidden stars. No, literal stars. Surprisingly, I had gone my entire life without seeing one of these types of games, and also surprisingly, nothing has changed. Marvin the Martian Snapshot allowed me to have Marvin shoot Marvin, and also have Marvin finger Marvin. Good times. Crash Course Memory Game is an ancient memory game from 1996 with a tiny screen. Yes, there were Flash games in 96. We'll see a couple of them, and honestly, I'm really impressed they exist at all. In Baby Looney Tunes Paint and Play, you paint the scene. I went with the piss-tint ground, although I guess it does look like they're playing on a beach. Oh, now it's wholesome. Tweety Pluck a Worm feeds Tweety worms, and maybe he'll get indigestion, because that's a lot of worms to eat in a short amount of time. Darediver dares to ask the question, should Bugs Bunny jump off a diving board for a video game? Not really, it's not that fun. He even says prepare to be amazed. Christ.
Marvin's Eartheraser made me very angry. Very angry indeed. Mainly cause it didn't work properly when I was clicking on the things.
Tweety's Colour Safari is another dull Tweety experience. I'm a wee little bird flying past a twee. I wonder if Putty will ever catch me. No, because Sylvester's nowhere to be seen in these, so no need to flee. Okay, so Looney Tunes Finds the Alphabet impressed me. At first glance, it looks like the Hidden Stars game, but the letters are actually fairly cleverly hidden within the set piece as part of the set piece. So I've got to give it credit. Sure, some of them are a stretch, but it's still very cool. Tweety Bamboo Bounce was actually kind of fun. Made funnier by the Flash game expanding way beyond the window so I could see what was coming. Tweety's Rescue Hector is essentially Donkey Kong, if it didn't allow you to finish the level. Great, what a waste of everyone's time. Foghorn Leghorn's Thanks But No Thanks is one of those eliminate all the items of the same colour game. It's fairly inoffensive, so thank you. Tweety saves the day in Tweety Saves the Day by playing a Mario Galaxy-inspired level and killing Sylvester, Tom, and Top Cat. Okay then. Leave me alone! No, please don't go. I need to feel validated by you watching the entire video. New Looney Tunes, Fearless Flyer, has bugs, avoid an extravagant amount of perils. Sometimes you really have to evaluate if an activity is actually worth it. Looney Tunes Doodle-Mania lets you doodle over the Warner Brothers logo. I didn't draw a penis, but I also didn't not, so... more Spot the Difference in Looney Tunes Spot the Difference. I'm still bad at these, moving on. Daffy Duck's Robin Hood Challenge lets you perform his most impressive moves with his buck and a quarter staff. It's not fun, but it's nice to see this cartoon referenced. Taz Extreme Skateboarding was one of the loudest games ever. I had it at 8% volume, and it was still louder than every other game I played. As a game, it's fairly boring, but I imagine there's a ton I didn't discover. I've never been very good at these types of games. Tweety's Flying High in Tweety's Flying High. I actually quite like this one. It's super basic, but hopping from cloud to cloud was kind of cute. Looney Tunes Puzzle was the most offensive thing to me. There are so many references to classic cartoons, some of them so obscure, and yet you don't have sniffles? What? Looney Tunes Active Basketball is a football game where you hit the ball with a bat to score a try. No, wait, no, it's just normal basketball. Looney Mahjong is yet another Mahjong. There is literally nothing more I can say about this. Looney Tunes Football Frenzy amuses me. It asks you to put a number on the back of Bugs' shirt, and then you play a keepy up game, where you can't even see the number you put in. What was the point? Looney Tunes Active Slalom is like the Avalanche game, except you play as Lola, you can't die as easily, and you have to collect country flags in orbs. Looney Tunes Recess is a compilation of 5 games, and I actually really got into this one. I thoroughly enjoyed throwing balls at Elmer's face in Dodgeball. I was shockingly bad at noughts and crosses against Daffy, sorry, tic-tac-toe. What a weird name that is. There's also a jump rope game, basketball again, and a little Roadrunner survival race thing. It's a pretty cool little package. Tweety's Pickin' Tower has you stack these animals against their will to get an apple. You can fly, Tweety, come on! Rude Toot Taz is a burp and fart simulator. Jesus Christ, this is the bottom of the barrel. Wabbit's Toss. I could make a really awful joke about vibrators or bestiality, but I'm above that. So I'll just let you know that the option is there and let your imagination conjure up the joke. Looney Tunes Paint a Picture, Tweety and Sylvester is exactly what it looks like. I made Sylvester look ill. Point and Click Looney Tunes is another Spot the Difference game. Next! Aha! Toon Marooned, Protect the Fire. This is another instance of being based on a Flash animation. You need to use the cannons to take out your opponent's fire, and I quite enjoyed this one. It's a nice treat when you actually find something fun. Baby Looney Tunes Ecos Brinquedos is a simple game about putting the item in the shape. Incidentally, Ecos Brinquedos translates to Find the Toys. Yeah, it does sum it up. Baby Looney Tunes Bedtime Bubbles gives you a look into your future as you learn what it's like to have kids who refuse to brush their teeth or have a bath. And then you shear all of Taz's fur. How rough are you brushing him? Tweety's Tweeter Totter is like that one minigame from Mario Party, except more dull. The rock climb was pretty fun. Why Wile has decided this perilous rock that leads to nowhere is the place to traverse today, I'll never know, but it's an alright game. Looney Tunes Carrot Sweeper is Minesweeper. Getting it wrong is pretty funny though. Looney Tunes Mix Up picks a head, a body, and some legs, and makes something truly cursed at the end. I'll never be disappointed by these types of games. Looney Tunes Cloud Jumper is a more boring version of Doodle Jump. and moving on. Looney Tunes Reality Check Wheel of Words. This was released to promote the Flash animation DVDs, and it's essentially a very easy version of Wheel of Fortune, combined with doing something incredible and then losing it all to bankruptcy. Oh, and then I spelt out the word, but it didn't recognise I did, so I just had to lose. Oh, it's a great game, really well made. Looney Tunes Looney Launch is one of those games that's so simple, I just kept playing it for ages. Change the direction of the arrows, deliver the correct lunch, it's that simple. Why did I play this for 4 minutes? Bugs Bunny Gone Fishing is a game where Bugs has discovered the most terrifying lake in the world. These carrot fish are so cursed, my word. Clear the Path is another 1996 classic. It's basically Leapfrog, but with TNTs. Yeah, I can't complain. It's pretty cool that this exists. Bugs Bunny's UFO Getaway has a tremendously awful hitbox. The smoke coming out of my ship should not kill me, unless that's an indication that I am literally on fire. It's the final Baby Looney Tunes game with Baby Looney Tunes Paint a Picture. Yep, I just picked whatever colour was closest again. Looney Tunes Active Javelin shows that Bugs is actually the best in the world at javelin tossing. It's always nice when you discover a new skill. Marvin's Space Bowling is a pretty fun bowling game. In space, you can't hear a pin drop. You can't see them drop though. Bugs Bunny Carrot Chase was genuinely one of my favourite Flash games. Such a simple grid-based platformer, but it was super fun. Bomb Drop doesn't look anything like a Looney Tunes game, but this is another 1996 game, and its most obvious tell is for the text at the top explaining the game. But despite how incredibly basic it is, I just can't help but being amazed that this exists. I didn't know internet games were as old as this, it's really cool. Looney Tunes Sled Escape gives you the option of of course I'm going with the silly slope! Gutted it's not called the Looney Slope, but whatever, it's pretty intense, not gonna lie, really fun. Tweety takes off in a better doodle jump game. Now it has graced your eyeballs for a small period of time, let's move on. Looney Tunes Taxi Time has you drive the Looney Tunes to their lovely homes. Marvin, your home is right there! You could walk in like 5 seconds. Why are you paying for a taxi? They're expensive, man! Extreme Taz Skateboard Street Course. It's like the previous Extreme Skateboard, but it's more than just ramps. And just like the previous one, I am garbage. Tony Hawk would disown me. Looney Tunes Crash Course is another 90s classic, but it didn't really work for me. The Roadrunner refused to move. For the first time ever, they were paralysed with fear. Ooh, another Looney Tunes Matching Pairs game.
Well done.
Thank you. Tricky Duck Volleyball has Daffy against Stone Cold Duck. This uber hench duck from the Flash animations, and I love him. He believes in my belief in me, and I do believe, yeah! Oh, I lost the game, okay. Looney Tunes Miniature Basketball is actually a little different, and I really like this one. You get the right angle and the ball goes through an extravagant journey to the next character. 10 points for creativity. Marvin's Speed Back to School Edition isn't Marvin selling drugs at your local school, it's actually a game of quick solitaire, if the rules of solitaire were wrong and awkward. Sylvester and Tweety Windows Game 1998 is a 2D chasing game. I think this is a Flash game, it's one of the few I couldn't play and have only seen a video on YouTube. Anyway, backstory aside, I love Sylvester's legs, and anytime he hits anything, it's very silly. Wacky Band puts the Looney Tunes cast together to perform a song, and I kind of love it. It's super basic, but it does change a fair bit when you switch characters out. I don't know, it just had a charm. Looney Tunes Training Program took like an hour to load and was a super basic platforming thing that lasted 22 seconds. Jesus Christ. Looney Tunes Match the Mugs is a match-free game. These kinds of games are fun enough, doesn't really do anything special or anything to offend me, so good job I guess. Looney Tunes Paint a Picture, Bugs, Lola and Tweety is the same thing we've seen a billion times. Toodles! Marvin the Martian Episode 2 is a Flash animation. I've mentioned there's quite a few of them. I didn't count how many, nor did I include them as they're not games, but this one animation has some interactivity. It's not much, it's just click when Marvin will use the teleport. But you know what? I'm including it! The only Marvin episodes archived were 2 and 9, and 9 didn't have this feature, so it's just a one and done, I guess. Oh my god, there were so many Flash games, and that's only half of them? Oh, we'll come back to the Flash games later. Let's go back to the official releases. Looney Tunes Racing, what happened to you? You're not as great as I recall. Yeah, this also released for the Game Boy Color. Oh boy, it is not good. They tried to take a Sonic Drift approach, but where Sonic Drift is good and fun, this is not. It's very hard to tell where you're going, mainly because each map is listed as a circle. The track isn't a circle, but that's what I'm being told. It's a bit stiff, there's only 5 tracks, and Wile Coyote looks like a literal cock and balls. But you're here to see the PS1 version. Welcome to the real Looney Tunes Racing, an epic kart racer if ever there was one. I really love the amount of effort that's gone into this. Characters and tracks based on famous cartoons, but the tracks in particular really impressed me. To name just a couple, Wascally Woods and Forest Frolics are based on the Hunting Trilogy cartoons. The tracks Planet X and Duck Dodgers' City are based on Duck Dodgers and the 24th Century. Or are they? Whilst Duck Dodgers' City is named after Duck Dodgers, I put it to you that it's actually more resembling a cartoon called Rocket Squad, where Daffy and Porky are futuristic detectives. Sure, there are traces of Duck Dodgers stuff throughout the city, but I think the architecture is closer to that of Rocket Squad, and that's amazing for someone like me who loves that cartoon because it really doesn't get enough recognition. There's an awesome track called You Belong in Pictures based around the cartoon You Ought to Be in Pictures, and it's fantastic to drive around the Hollywood sets. See, this just goes to show how the devs are clearly massive fans and they dug deep to create something truly special. One of the bonus tracks is Wacky Land, and it's even black and white to resemble the original cartoon. Seriously, I love them so much for this. Beyond that, they've got so many bonus minigames, missions, so many tracks, so many unlockable characters. It's just so cool to play and see. But how does it feel to play? Honestly, fantastic. A little slower than your typical kart racer, and it feels like the bottom of the kart is locked to the ground, but I adore how it feels to play. Same goes for its spiritual successor. Looney Tunes Space Race is awesome. It's a very different game to Looney Tunes Racing, but not in a bad way. This was released on both PS2 and Dreamcast, and they're basically the same game, so I'll be counting it as one for this video. Where Looney Tunes Racing felt like you were locked to the floor, this is the opposite, as your rockets, are very fast and very floaty, but again, in a good way. This isn't based around classic cartoons, though it does reference things. For example, a cinema says it's now showing Space Jam 28. Oh god, are we really going to have to endure that many? And hopefully they'll get better. But is there a preferred version of the game? Yeah, well that's a tough one. The Dreamcast version was released first, and I think it actually feels a little better to drive. More responsive, so you'll definitely be able to make the corners with ease and dodge things pretty quickly. But the PS2 version has the better soundtrack. Hang on, that kind of thing is subjective. Let me play them back to back and see what you think. Here's the PS2 music. And here's the Dreamcast. I did not edit this. The music isn't as good, not that you can hear it, because these are the default settings. So bizarre that it would be super loud. But going back to the game, I love how you can race these chaotic tracks with features like this where it just constantly rains safes and stuff. It's so difficult, but it's so very Looney. I love it. I love it so much. It's so good. Looney Tunes Acme Antics and Dizzy Driving comes as a double pack for the GBA, and I am so glad, because I'd be real disappointed if Acme Antics was all I got to play. It's a Roadrunner escape game, and it's basically like every other one. I do like the roll that Roadrunner does when he hits something though. But that's okay, because it comes with Dizzy Driving. Now, looking at it, it may not look like much, but I genuinely really liked this. It's a solid kart racer, better than Looney Tunes Racing on the Game Boy in every single way. Sure, it's not going to win any awards, but I had a lot of fun with it, and sometimes that's all you need. The Wile and Roadrunner games don't disappoint. Desert Speedtrap for Game Gear and Master System is intense. Wile is relentlessly chasing you, and again, it really helps you appreciate how hard the Roadrunner has it. I also appreciate that in level 2, Wile's just driving a massive bus. I mean, why not? Just go all out. Roadrunner would be roadkill and essentially inedible, but the job is done at least. I don't think Wile cares about the food anymore, it's about pride at this point. Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage for the SNES is one of my favourite games, purely for how much it references past cartoons, and especially the obscure stuff. Seeing the Goofy Gophers is unexpected, but not super weird. Same goes for Nasty Canasta, but Red Hot Rider and Hiawatha in level 2 were very unexpected. It's just filled with references from Bugs' Best, and it made me super happy. But there's no Sniffles! I know Sniffles and Bugs hadn't met at this point on camera, but oh come on, the chance was right there. I can't get over how great the animation looks. There's so much going on with every character, and it's so faithful, especially the ears. But I guess that makes a lot of sense when you look You You ever want to see Tweety lose even though Sylvester's usually lame? Well, I've got a treat for you in Sylvester and Tweety video games. The script is flipped as Sylvester wins at the end of each new level. The animations made me chuckle as they reminded me of Undertale. And then there's Twubble, a new title for Game Boy. But you could struggle as there's not a lot to enjoy. If you're in the mood to party and to try and have Tweety's feet reclaimed, explore the world for gems to be tamed. Sylvester and Tweety video games. You'll play multiple game styles from 2D to 3D and mini games. There's disappointments and there's trials. Sylvester and Tweety video games. I should clarify that I don't actually think Sylvester is lame, just his attempts to catch Tweety usually are. They definitely work all the time! Anyway, we just covered Sylvester and Tweety in Cagey Capers for Genesis, Looney Tunes Twubble, also known as Breakfast on the Run, and Tweety and the Magic Gems. But there is one more, and it's based on a movie too. Forget travelling around the world in 80 days, you can beat this game in under 80 minutes. I taught many, many putty tats. Tweety must visit every country in the world and collect the paw prints of 80 cats to prove birds are the best. I understand it's a plot point for the film, because haha, Sylvester is an antagonist, but like, cats aren't rare? I could get 80 paw prints in my local town, let alone around the world. Anyway, game's a bit boring, but otherwise it's fine. You attack cats, steal their paw prints and their life, and that's that. But this isn't the only game that ties into a movie. Let's dive into the good stuff. Oh wait, no, this one isn't good. Look at this cheeky chappy. He knows something's up. He knows Space Jam is a fever dream. I unironically love Space Jam. It's such a fun time. That's the film, by the way. The game, oh dear. Yeah, it sure is a basketball game with minigames thrown in to give you an advantage on the other side, because you're gonna get your butt whooped. But do you know what the most egregious thing this game does? There's no sniffles! I am stunned by this. They've got a bunch of obscure characters like Baby Bear, Charlie the Dog, a Scottish man, Hippity Hopper. Hippity Hopper's there twice, and they're right next to each other. He's purple, like he's merged with Thanos. Sniffles in the film has dialogue. He's an actual part of the team as a sub. How is he not even here anywhere as a cameo? It's depressing. Let me move on to a better game. Do you remember the dev team Warthog who made the bad Tiny Toon games? Well, they're back to make Looney Tunes back in action for PS2, GameCube and Game Boy Advance. The PS2 and GameCube versions are the same, but the GBA is different. One of them is a true hidden gem, and the other isn't. Let's talk about the PS2 version first. What I find hilarious is, as a moving tie-in game, they were clearly told a synopsis and then made their own thing. The intro to the game is from the cut intro from the film, which is interesting in itself, but then the head of ACME just unzips into existence, has the blue monkey diamond, then a monkey steals it. The second level is also Paris instead of Vegas, like you'd assume if you're following the rules of the film. Also, there's no Brendan Fraser. That is disappointing, and yet I don't care. This game is really good. It's honestly kind of like a spiritual successor to Bugs and Taz Time Busters, as you switch between Bugs and Daffy at will. It feels good to play, it's satisfying to collect gold, it's just a pretty great time all around. It has some bugs. Bunny, that is! No, but really, it's a little glitchy, but I think it gets a lot more flack than it deserves. The GBA version, however, well, it feels awful to control. It's an isometric platformer, but it feels really awkward in a lot of what it does. The plot, like the main console version, totally deviates from the film and is in fact different to that of its console counterpart. Mr. Warner's gone missing and it turns out a bunch of loony villains are working with the ACME chairman, so they go to Vegas. Daffy drowns in piss and then I wanted to stop playing. Okay, maybe that's a little harsh. It really doesn't feel like good to play, which is a shame because there are some really fun isometric platformers on the GBA. It's just that this isn't one of them. Even though the dialogue matches the awfulness of this film, Space Jam: A New Legacy, the game, is an enjoyable enough arcade beat-em-up. That said, it is like half the length of the original Battletoads at around 35 minutes, so you're not going to be missing much if you don't play this. Also, it is not cheap. Unless, of course, you're desperate to see LeBron James punch things a lot. I mean, if that's your kink, I will not stop you. And while we're on the subject of beating things up, Loons, the fight for fame is a weird one. Releasing exclusively on Xbox, it's a cel-shaded fighting game with ambition, but sadly has problems. You can only play as 4 characters, Bugs, Daffy, Taz and Sylvester. I thought maybe you'd unlock others, but you don't. The craziness of the Looney Tunes brand is there, but the fighting gets repetitive pretty quickly. I do appreciate the various minigames and this cursed Godzilla fight. Daffy, you look different. Did you polish your beak? No. Tail, isn't it? It's gotta be the tail. It's your wishbone! Your wishbone grew an extra centimetre. That's it, yeah, that's 100% it.
What do we say to the god of death, Hurry Stark?
Not today.
Multiversus is the newest in a line of Smash Bros clones that sort of just appeared in the last year. Nickelodeon and Lego are doing it, now it's Warner Bros.' turn. This feels like one big meme, and I guess it kind of is when you have Arya Stark, Shaggy at his buffest, utilising only 1% of his power, Steven Universe, Jake the Dog, Velma, who is the best by the way, you cannot tell me otherwise, Harley Quinn, Superman, the Iron Giant, Tom and Jerry, and more. But actually, the game is really fun. I tried a bit of the beta and I had a blast. There's a great sense of balance, even though in reality we all know Bugs would stick an exploding carrot up Clark Kent's arse and he would win. But we're not here to split hairs. He's here to split you. Hot Wheels Unleashed was a surprise. When it was announced, I was so excited. A Hot Wheels game to try and rival the likes of Mario Kart and Crash Team Racing, with gorgeous cars and tracks that feels like it's been plucked out of my childhood. You know what? That excitement holds up. This game is legit really good. Super fun, certainly challenging, and arguably endless as it has a track editor. But it also has DLC, and that's where Looney Tunes comes in. July 14th, 2022 has a Looney Tunes DLC pack, with original cars based on the existing Hot Wheels set, which I own because they're super cool, some original tracks, fun explosive hazards, and of course, some customization. If you want to bring your matchup from Tinder to your Bugs Bunny pad and they bail, they weren't right for you. Still being updated to this day, Looney Tunes World of Mayhem makes me so sad. This is a good game. Actually, dare I say a great game, but it has so much working against it. It's a turn-based battle game and it's so very Looney Tunes. There's so much love poured into the mechanics, the animations, the variety of characters, but it is a gacha game and you have to think how much better would it be if it wasn't. Also, no sniffles? Really? You have a freaking big Chungus, and even Christmas Chungus, but no sniffle? I can... Alright, let's calm down. Let's find something funny. Look at this box art for Acme Animation Factory. This feels like a clickbait thumbnail and I love everything about it. This is another create and make magic happen game, but it has a lot more to offer this time. Like, for example, I tried to recreate the Looney Tunes theme in 2 minutes. Perfect. You know what? It could be worse, considering I was just flinging things onto the screen. You can paint a scene and superimpose your own drawing on it. And there's a couple minigames too. It's pretty cool. If you had this as a kid, I'd genuinely like to know if this had any major impact on you. Leave a comment down below. And like the video and subscribe. Thank you very much, really appreciate it. Daffy Duck in Hollywood has Daffy using a bubble gun to catch the henchman. Wow, look at how hench that cactus is! My favourite thing is definitely Daffy's walk.
I slammed my penis in the car door.
This game is weird. I quite like it though. The bosses are definitely the strangest thing. It's a statue on wheels that shoots balls from its crotch. Hot. That's really hot. Desert Demolition, starring Wile, Coyote and Roadrunner for the Genesis, is the last game dedicated to this duo. And whilst it's not my favourite from the bunch, I really like the style. The intro is just a cartoon and you can choose whichever character you want. Each character plays very differently, so you can finally catch the Roadrunner if you really want. Took you long enough? Now what is Wile gonna do with his time? Get a master's degree? Actually, that's not a bad idea. Huh. Wile E. Coyote, super genius. There's a nice ring to it, yeah. Before Space Jam, there was Looney Tunes B-Ball for the SNES. The gameplay is fun enough, but we're instead going to focus on the faces of all of these characters. They are exceptional. Elmer and Bugs look cursed, Marvin looks so sad, bless him, and I can get cream pied for $42? Sign me up, that's what I'm talking about. There have been some strange Looney Tunes games over the years, but Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday is certainly up there. This is Porky's only exclusive game, which is a shame given how he's one of the first Looney Tunes characters and even signed off the cartoons in the old days. But I quite like this one. It's definitely been inspired by Mickey Mania, and Porky turns into a horrifying deflated balloon when he dies, but there's a real charm going on and I really appreciate some of the references. For example, to get a high jump, you get scared by Daffy in his split personality appearance from the cartoon Prize Pest. That's pretty obscure, but it makes total sense for this game. The second level has creatures from Wacky Land. It's satisfying to see these iconic references as a fan, and as a passerby, it's just fun design. They understood the assignment. Bugs Bunny in Double Trouble didn't, though. Oh boy, where to begin? Well, the title screen looks like something someone cobbled together for a PowerPoint presentation. Then the story infuriates me, because instead of the evil scientist, Sam takes the role. Why? I don't know. I respect that the levels are designed and inspired by cartoons like Duck Rabbit Duck, Bully for Bubs, Arabian Nights, and more, but the game is a bit stiff and far too confusing at points. It's a shame because it could have been great. Looney Tunes Carrot Crazy, also known as Bugs Bunny and Lola Operation Carrot Patch, released on the Game Boy Color in '98, and it is pretty darn good. You play as, unsurprisingly, Bugs and Lola through a selection of levels with classic characters, and it just feels so great to play. Lola is queen, she beats Daffy with an umbrella, as she should. This is the first time she's playable in a platforming title, so that's pretty nice. It makes a change. You can also switch between the two instantly, which I love. It's so cool to actually discover these gems on the Game Boy. Back in 1998, there was a series of animated jigsaw games for PC, which allowed you to complete the jigsaw from famous stills of classic cartoons. These games were called Assorted Nuts, Cosmic Capers, Merry Masquerades, and Love and Marriage. What I like is that when you complete the still, it shows the full clip where it's used. Obviously, I can't show it for this video because copyright, but I appreciate the effort here. It's not a difficult game, it's just a nice timepiece. You know what else is a nice timepiece? Looney Tunes Photo Fun. This was also released for PC, but in the year 2000, and there is absolutely no footage online. Until now! I own this. But what is it? It's a photo editor. Edit your favourite photos, create fake IDs, banners, you name it. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, even though I have the disc, because I'm using a virtual Windows 98, it won't read the disc properly and therefore it won't work properly. But whilst I can't show you directly how it works, you can see what's on offer, which is more than has been shown before, so that's pretty cool. Now, inside the case, there was a booklet about other programs to buy. One of them is a video editing software. Totally unrelated to Looney Tunes, but do you want to see it? I can't really do much. I'm running this on a Windows 98 virtual window, but it's pretty cool. I made a movie, mum! As an extension of this little segment, in 1989 there was a Looney Tunes printing program. This is not a game, but it is also very basic, and I can't show you much because I'm using MAME to play it archived on archive.org, which sounds insane saying it out loud, but it's still pretty cool to acknowledge it exists. I want to show something else that's pretty cool, but I also have a confession to make. I have told a lie. I haven't played all of these games. I am so sorry. There are 6 LCD Tiger Electronic games that I have not played. In fact, 2 of them don't even have gameplay online, and only one of them has been archived online as a playable version. These 6 are Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Tiny Toon Adventures, TAZ-MANIA, Looney Tunes Road Rally Riot, and Space Jam. The playable version is Space Jam, and it feels unbelievably awkward. I suspect all of them do. If you're a collector, would it be nice to have? Sure, but beyond that, stay away, they're not worth playing. Looney Tunes Dash is an endless runner inspired by all the others out there, and it's kinda cool, but I mean, what more can I say about it that you don't already know? It's a fantastic time waster. Is that a compliment? I think so. Anyway, next up, Subway Roadrunner. No, not the sandwich shop. It's a fan-made endless runner on Android. They just took Subway Surfers and put the Roadrunner in. Not sure what the giveaway was, maybe the human noise when the Roadrunner jumps, yeah, that'll do it. And that's all I'm gonna say about this. Oh, and he throws a shuriken, a goddamn shuriken! Did you think those were the only Android games? No, we've got plenty. And it would be silly of me not to take a deep dive into all of these monstrosities. Hill Looney Tunes Racing is fun. Bugs is in Dick Dastardly's car and what the hell? This is so uncontrollable! I do not understand what is happening. Daffy Duck Adventures is actually an okay automatic 2D platformer. Bit boring after a while, but I didn't hate it. Catch the Daffy Duck, I just need to click on him a bunch. I stopped at 69 times because I'm classy. Duck City Run. This is a bit glitchy. There came a point when I was sort of invincible, but yeah, this is another Subway Surfers clone. Get ready to see a couple more of these. Daffy Duck vs Zombies is amazing. Every action has a totally different art style image of Daffy. I love this. Toons-3D Daffy Duck is another Subway clone. This time, absolutely cursed Taz is chasing you. Ugh. Bunny Run has bugs on the title screen, but other than that, yeah, not really Bugs Bunny. I love how it's a clearly photoshopped random bunny, and then I made them drink bleach. Bunny Jump has a cursed title screen, and then Bugs Bunny is there in the game. And then this happens. This horrible thing. Why? I don't know. Rabbit City Run. Can you guess what this is? Of course you can. Who is the villain of the piece, though? Suddenly Tom! Nah, just joking. The villain is actually copyright law. Looney Racing Toon starts off as an alright racing game. Not sure what it's ripping off, but you suddenly become a giant mech. What? And it costs $4 to buy a power-up? Oh, wow, suck on my tender nuts. This one is Looney Tunes. It's a parody of an endless runner, but I have no idea what, and oh my god, what is this? Yeah, I'm not touching this. Looney Colouring Book is kinda nice. You can colour, and it even has stretched baby Looney Tunes images. I could put effort in, I cannot be bothered. Looney Tunes Racing. I see it's using the logo of the PS1 game. I somehow don't think it'll be like that. Oh no it isn't. It's like the Hilltop Racing thing. But worse, I think. I don't know, it's cool. Space Jam Basketball is amazing. First off, it's not the right way round. It's just images of a basketball court, space, and the universe, but with a basket drawn in. Top tier content. I pray no one had to buy this. Adventure Marvin the Martian is the same as the Hilltop games. Great again. Moving on. How to Draw Coyote and Roadrunner is kinda cool. I like that it gives you step-by-step pieces to trace. Downside, of course, is the image is small, the pencil thin, and you will be drawing this on a tiny phone with your fingers, so you'll not be able to see what you're tracing. I mean, it works though. I did my extremely rushed version in like a minute, but doesn't not look like Wile. Tweety Drunk Pilot is like Flappy Birds, but way more boring. Yes, this made me long for Flappy Birds, that's how bad this is. Pixie Jungle Adventure is such a cursed combination of assets. Not really much more I can say about this. Taz Adventure is Mario Bros 1-1, but playing this on a computer with a mouse was super hard. Jumping and then moving on a large monitor made this surprisingly challenging. It's more interesting than the other games here though, but it's not good. Do you know that big Chungus meme that blew up a couple of years ago? Well, Chungus Rampage in Big Forest sees an army of big Chunguses ruin a farmer's life. It's very bizarre. I think this is very much a love it or hate it kind of game. And finally, Run Speedy Gonzales. This is not Speedy. This is a random mouse who is going through an absolute ordeal. They cannot catch a break. Before we move on, I should state that there are others, but they're just cloning either these, or it's just a one-to-one copy of an existing Looney Tunes game, so it's not worth showing. There was also a Porky Pig calling game where you hang up on him or something, but it just didn't work for me, so I couldn't show it off. Same for a Click the Roadrunner game, similar to the Daffy one. I know, it's such a shame you missed out on all that thrilling gameplay. How about I treat you with something actually good? It's time for what I consider to be the ultimate hidden gem. Looney Tunes Collector Alert for the Game Boy Color. Oh my word, this game is amazing. I was enjoying it from the get-go as it's basically the original Legend of Zelda, but Looney Tunes. It feels good to play, the platforming is fun, but then you fight Elmer, beat him, and unlock him. With just a set of buttons, you seamlessly change character, and he plays totally differently. Then a couple minutes later, you unlock Daffy, who can swim anywhere. Hang on, what? This game is awesome! How have I not heard people talking about this? Same goes for the soundtrack. Absolute bop. It's just a shame it's only a couple hours long. But wait, there's a sequel.
Oh, goody! A sequel where you play as the villains! Looney Tunes Collector Marvin Strikes Back has you play as me, Marvin, K9, and a couple other characters that I brainwash. It's essentially the same sort of game, but different because I'm here! Only disappointing thing is it has the same soundtrack, but it's really cool. I have so much respect for these games and fully recommend them in the name of Mars!
Oh, baby sheep, dog and wolf, otherwise known as Sheep Raider. You play as bootleg palette swap Wile Coyote, also referred to as Ralph Wolf. He has been tasked with stealing some sheep from Sam Sheepdog in the most outlandish, cartoony way possible. Truly, of all the games that feel most like a cartoon, this is it. The absurd makes sense, the impossible becomes real, and you get to play it. The tutorial itself warns you to stay away, and as soon as you continue, you get obliterated. This is the perfect representation of how this insane puzzle game will go. It's super challenging, but it's also absolutely awesome. In many ways, there is no better representation for Looney Tunes. Taz Wanted is a genius game. Taz and the she-devil get captured in Sam's zoo, Taz tries to escape and is wanted, hence the name. You must go round the levels destroying all the Taz signs in platforming puzzles, and I love the design philosophy of this game. Taz is basically an indestructible, constantly eating beast, so let's make him exactly that in this game. Yes, Taz can falter and get caught, but he just gets back up again and annihilates anything in his path. Other Taz games has made Taz feel like Taz, but in this, even though you can lose, you feel like you can't. You're not allowed to eat people though, probably because of an age rating thing. Looney Tunes ACME Arsenal is the definition of wasted potential. There are things about this game that I like, but it is so painfully repetitive. The story is a mess, the weapon system feels flawed. I do like that you can switch between Marvin and Bugs, and Marvin has lightsabers, which is excellent, but I also just don't care, because I'm getting bored thinking about writing for this game, and sometimes more so when I'm actually playing it. Let's talk about something exciting instead. We're back to the weird Looney Tunes games, with Taz Express on the N64. Taz is forced by his wife to become a postal worker. No, that's not a joke, that's the game. Who thought this up and why? I have no idea, but it's certainly an interesting game. The gameplay comes from the puzzle of ensuring Taz doesn't tamper, eat, destroy, or screw the package. You gotta get it to the poor sod who will open the door to a Tasmanian devil. But hey, it's a nice little anecdote. No, really, my vibrator really was delivered by a Tasmanian devil. No, really! When they were spinning up the road to my door, it vibrated more than the product ever could. My favourite thing about the game is that Taz just destroys the landscape. It's actually really satisfying. Other than that, the game is, fine. Welcome to the Custom Block. Friday Night Funkin' has become a massively popular rhythm game, and rightfully so. Fans of the game have been modding in a Bugs Bunny Rabbit Season stage as part of the CN takeover, and it is awesome to see. What's also awesome is a full-blown ROM hack, namely Streets of Rage 2. This was a big surprise to me when I was researching for the video, but this hack is incredible. Made by Metal64, this deserves way more recognition. The animations are so smooth, it strangely feels natural even though it's so bizarre. I don't know why they wanted to make it, but thank you for doing so, I love this. Link in the description for the video to download it. And now, Dreams. What is Dreams? It is a game by Media Molecule, the people who made Little Big Planet, and in it, you can make anything, literally anything you want. Naturally, people have made Looney Tunes games. Ah! Me! Bugs Bunny, hello. Space Jam Lola Bunny is... well, I thought it was going to be a basketball game. It was not. That was mildly disappointing. Lola Bunny Dash is a short platformer. I questioned the Ratchet & Clank tag in it until I heard the music in the level. Yeah, that's fair enough. COD Zombies Bugs Bunny Edition is as cursed as it looks. I was excited for Bugs Bunny Adventures Dreams remake, especially when it played Lost in Time music. Then it did the COD Zombies thing again, because it's the same creator. Shame. Bugs' Burgers is a Five Nights at Freddy's clone. This was genuinely intimidating. I did not want to continue at all. The model for Daffy was absolutely hysterical though. Not a game, but Duck Season Redream collab is a beautiful recreation of the original scene.
Duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season.
And finally, Bugs Bunny's Adventures to Duck Season. This whole game is an absolute trip. I don't understand any of what is going on, but I love all of it. Oh god, not again! I've been told we have more news from Teal. We bring you live from the scene. Thank you, Teal. Yep, we're back to the Flash games. There's still a lot of them, so sit back and enjoy. Boomerang All-Stars is a collection of Flash games, but released as a single game for iOS. I will count each individual game though, just bundled in a package. There are 7 games, and wow, Bugs and Wile look as bored as I feel playing these. You can play them as any character from Boomerang, like Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, and Shaggy. Wait, what? What do you mean Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz? Is that a cartoon now? Every so often you get an ad for Boomerang, and I just don't really get it. You don't need to advertise for Boomerang. I've downloaded this app because I like Boomerang, or in this case, I'm making an extravagant video about Looney Tunes and our paths just happen to cross. I'm not going to forget that Boomerang exists. If anything, it made me want to head over to Disney. Hopefully the Owl House is on. These 7 sports games are designed to be played as any character, which is nice, but they're super dull, so it hasn't really sold me. You know what did actually sell me though? Its sequel, Boomerang Playtime. This one is a lot better. 10 new Looney Tunes Flash games plus the 7 mentioned before. It also features cartoon clips from Looney Tunes cartoons. I appreciate that every single character listed has different minigames, so there's a nice amount to sink your teeth into, but the minigames again are pretty bare bones. An easy puzzle and matching game, a game of Snap, you have to draw a hat for someone, which is near impossible to be accurate because you draw with your finger and your finger is like 3 times bigger than the line, so I can't see the line, and then the game crashed on me anyway, so who cares? Yeah, it's fine, I respect parts of it. Rabbit's Gone Fishing is alright. I caught the heaviest piranha of all time, so I think I won. Boomerang has 2 other apps called Make and Race and Make and Race 2. They're essentially titles where you make a car, then race them. The first is simply fine. Not bad, not good, which you could argue is scathing. The sequel is much better as there's much more depth to how you race, which is pretty cool. I will say as well that all of these Boomerang titles were free to download, so they didn't cost any money, so actually I do respect them on that basis. That is pretty cool. I know Looney Tunes Cartoons Matching Pairs looks like the same as every other Matching Pairs game, but it is slightly different. You have to squint a little bit, but it is. Bugs Bunny's Hopping Carrot Hunt is an okay platformer, but it goes on for too hopping long. So let's move on to the next hopping game. Bugs Bunny Dental Care is one of the most horrific, cursed things I've ever played, and I've played frozen porn games as a joke for the Christmas series I do every year. Keep looking at Bugs' face. Don't look away, brush your teeth, or this could be you. You could turn into a rabbit. That's what happens if you don't brush your teeth. Bugs Bunny's Shea Bugs confuses me. I try to feed the people what they want, and then I assault them. This isn't very conductive for a good business, my fine Bunny. Bugs Bunny's Home Run Derby is so hard. Oh my god, I could not hit any of these balls. Why is Tweety so good at throwing the ball? It's the size of him. Bugs Bunny Toonamajig sure is a thingamajig. These all connect far too well for their own good. Bugs Bunny Biking is inspired by the Trials games, and actually does an alright job at it. It made me want to replay the latest one, so I'd call that a success. Bugs Bunny Hidden Stars is more Hidden Stars. I have to really zoom in on Bugs' ass for one of them. Good job, game. Bugs Bunny Apples Catching is a boring game, but I can't get over how weird Bugs looks. This isn't okay. Oh my word, it took this long to get to a Bugs Bunny dress-up game? As dress-up games go, this is pretty tame. No weird bondage stuff, no underwear, boo! Bugs Bunny Memory is a pairs game. Boring. Next. Wait, what is that pose at the beginning? Bugs Bunny Jigsaw is a jigsaw game. How many of these can there be? Don't know, couldn't be bothered to count them. Bugs Bunny Colouring Kit. I'll give you one guess to work out what type of game this is. Bugs Bunny Rider is at least a little more engaging than the previous games. You can punch a crow in the air and meet a terrifying plant creature. Bugs Bunny Carrot Cakes has you making carrot cakes. It is incredibly boring, takes far too long, and I wanted to step into the microwave. Bugs Bunny Hidden Objects. Gotta find the 10 carrots hidden in the image. There's actually some really nice art combining a ton of cartoons. I haven't seen this before, so it was quite a nice surprise. Oh my word, Bunnyway. This game is a treat. Fan-made games like this are what makes this segment of the video. Level 1. All the enemies are Sam. There's a lot of him. Too much, you could argue. Don't worry, he's not going anywhere. Level 2. I was thinking the part of the background looked suspiciously like Bikini Bottom, but I wasn't certain. Don't worry, Level 4 answered that, as an enemy was a tiny Flying Dutchman. Oh my god, I love him, he's so cute. This may be trash, but it was memorable. Well done on making something interesting. A lot of these sure didn't. In Parachute Daffy, Daffy jumps out of a plane and sometimes doesn't let out his parachute. The Big Game 29, Bugs vs Daffy. It's another football game, but this one feels a lot more fun. It's a reactionary platformer of sorts, so credit where it's due. Sort My Tiles Daffy edition. Of course there's another one. Puzzle fun, Bugs and Daffy. Is it fun? No, not really. Okay, this one is called Bunny Lola Daffy Snooker Pool Hidden Letters GoForGirlGames.com. And yeah, it's a hidden letters game, but look at this art. It is magnificent, if nothing else. It was worth it for that. Wild About Wile is a 3D escape game. There have been some terrible Temple Run clones, but this is actually half decent. Wile Coyote and Roadrunner puzzle game. Dress Up Wile Coyote. Oh look, it's bare bones and uninteresting, but I have to mention that I've played it. You need to know it exists. It will not in any way change your life that Wile is Santa, but you need to know. Roadrunner Remote Receiver is a terrible football game. Imagine you had to deliver a remote control ball and it controlled terribly. No, you don't need to imagine it. Here it is. Point and click Roadrunner is another spot the difference. Goodbye. Roadrunner Adventures is interesting, but difficult. You have to find the item to save yourself and then work out where to use it in a very short amount of time. Could I be asked to play much more after the 10th death? No. Moving on. Roadrunner Online Colouring Page at least has more options than many of the others. I don't think that's really worthy of praise, more just an observation. I like this. It's not a Looney Tunes thing, but it is a quiz about actual Roadrunners. Just good dumb fun. Oh, and then Dress Up Roadrunner showed up. To be fair, this one is super silly. I just love Wile closing in and then getting obliterated. I also love giving the Roadrunner a shirt and tie. This is more like it. Wood Carving Roadrunner. What? Yeah, no, this is a thing. I mean, cool, I guess. Yes, people will like it, I'm sure. Sort My Tiles Roadrunner. I don't have anything else to say about these types of games. What do you want from me here? Attack of the Tweety Zombies has a jump scare when you die, which makes this one of the more interesting Flash games so far. Sylvester and Tweety's Skedaddle is stupidly fast-paced, to the point where you'll hit everything, and if Hector catches up to you, he strangles you. You're in a kind of lose-lose situation here. Tweety's wood carving! Or did you think the Roadrunner one was good? Well, there's another. This is not a joke. Is there a thing about wood carving birds? Because there are only two, and it is of Tweety and Roadrunner. The Tweety Jigsaw Puzzle. Guess what? It's very easy. Anna Lux Animator shows some frames of animation, which is kind of cool. Not much more than that, but it also features Courage the Cowardly Dog and Mojo Jojo, so that's kind of interesting. What do you want me to say about this? Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries Matching Pairs. Amazing series, boring game. In Marvin the Martian vs. the Earth, I visited Planet Claire, and Marvin really got off on touching people. Marvin the Martian colouring kit will allow you to put all your skills to the test in this extreme colouring game. Oh wait, no, it's the exact same as every other one. Marvin Adventure is similar to the other Jetpack Marvin games, but I don't hate it. Not exactly a glowing recommendation, is it? But it's not the worst. Also, Marvin's minions are super small and thin. What happens here? Okay, it's not Looney Tunes, but I had to show you Marvin the tap dancing horse shape game. Press the shapes, win the game. It's boring, short, and has a fun image. Great, it sure exists. Marvin's Anti-Gravity Disintegrator is an interesting take on Puyo Puyo, as you can go round the entire grid and the balls fly to the other side. It adds a lot more depth to the puzzle, which is pretty cool. Porky Pig and Petunia Pig colouring kit requires a lot of pink and blue. I made a masterpiece, thank you for admiring it. Oh boy, Yosemite Sam colouring kit! How many of these can there be? Probably at least 5 more. Elmer Fudd's soundboard is fantastic. It's exactly what it sounds like. My favourite bit was mashing all of them, so it became an absolute mess. Games like Taz in the City is one of the reasons I do this. Just such a weird combination of assets. You can't help admire the thought process behind it. Oh god, Taz Adventure is one of the worst games I've ever played. To say this game doesn't work is an understatement. It's kind of hilarious in a tragic way. When you twirl, you lose complete control of everything and teleport through the walls for some reason. Also, this box failed to move for ages. Man, this was such a surreal experience. I hate it so much. More jigsaws! Hooray! It's called Taz Jigsaw if you're so desperate to play it. Taz coconut catching is just that. You are Taz, you catch coconuts. The games are very literal. Why couldn't it be called something like Epic Density Struggle or something? Oh wait, because no one would play. Right, yeah, that would, yeah. Oh boy, another jigsaw! This time with TAZ-MANIA and hexagons! End me! Oh, this is kind of cute. I was wrong, there is one more Baby Looney Tunes game. Baby Taz Hide and Seek is super easy, but it's hard not to love how adorable Taz is. Oh, bless him, he just wants to play. The last one was a nightmare. Taz Adventure 2 is the same, just as broken. Tell you what else is the same. Level 2. It is exactly the same for both games. There's probably more instances of this, but I'm not playing more to find out. Sort My Tiles Taz Halloween looks surprisingly disturbing. Nice. Oh my god, it's back again? Taz Adventure 3 is somehow even more cursed. I thought level 2 was different, but I was wrong. It just starts you in a different place. I love how stupid this is, oh my god. Taz Connect the Dot actually angers me. This is not how a connect the dots thing works. It's supposed to be a straight line to the next dot. You can't just fill in a bunch of stuff. There is another one for Tweety, but I couldn't play it as it wasn't on Flashpoint, and the website I found it on would no longer run it, so just take my word for it that it exists. Whilst on the search for more Taz games, I found this horrifically cursed baby game. It's not a Looney Tunes game or anything, just thought you should see it, since I have. Oh, and there's straight up wolf porn that I found in the animation section, but that's for another video. If you subscribe to my Pornhub channel, maybe you'll see a No, don't. I'm joking. It's a joke. Please, I don't have a just joke. Extreme Taz Inline Obstacle Course is basically the same game as the other Extreme games, but you're on roller skates this time. Extreme! Taz Run is pretty strange. What are these creatures? I don't know, but they sure are trying to stop Taz from playing a fairly mediocre game of football. Oh wait, no, it's this that was mediocre. Pepe Le Pew's Love Run is Frogger, and that's the only gameplay we'll be seeing from this questionable character. Coyote Chase is kind of excellent. You launch yourself, and then the desert is your playground to chase the Roadrunner. It's a lot of fun. Baby Looney Tunes Hidden Letters is another Hidden Letters game. You can hear my enthusiasm draining as I say these words. There's a game simply titled Speedy Gonzales, and it's another puzzle game. It even has one of those sliding puzzles that I'm awful at, but thankfully it was easy because it only changed like 4 tiles. Tiny Toon Colouring is a tiny colouring game. I can't do too many more of these, I have literally nothing to say. Tiny Toon Adventures is certainly a game. Buster gets a skateboard and the jumps are sometimes too big to ever cross. This is some good game design. Search the dark recesses of your mind. Somewhere there is a memory of a show called Lunatics Unleashed. Oh, what, did you think that there wouldn't be a Flash game of them, or that I wouldn't bring it up, you fool? If you're unaware, this is a post-apocalyptic future superhero series where descendants of Looney Tunes characters gain superpowers, and, yeah, it is a thing. Lunatics Unleashed Slam's Snowboard Slalom is as generic a Flash game gets. ACMEtropolis Obstacle Course is also pretty generic, but at least it features Lola's ancestor. Lola needs more rep, she's easily one of the best characters. Duck Dodgers in the 24.5 century! Yeah, this show kinda rules. Duck Dodgers Plan 8 from Upper Mars is a 5-mission game. It was released on a weekly basis, but then re-released as a full game, so we'll just count it as one. It's a fairly fun little platformer, but where the game was located is also pretty cool. The Duck Dodgers microsite has a surprising amount of work on animating Daffy. Hey, do you remember Cannonball Follies? You know, that game that kickstarted the Flash segment? Yeah, I know that feels like an eternity ago. Well, there were 2 sequels, Cannonball Follies 2 and 3. Cannonball Follies 2 and 3 make the game feel less stiff and have some extra gimmicks, so that's nice. Wile E. Coyote Rocket Ride is completely broken if I just put Wile E to the top of the screen. Good game. New Looney Tunes Paper Racers is when you take classic cartoons and put them in a Paper Mario racing game. It's surprisingly engaging. A lot more than I was expecting, at least. I love that Wile E comes and puts dynamite on the track. That is such a cool touch. Arts and Crafts Looney Tunes sure is what you'd expect. Paint a picture, put some stickers on. Beautiful. Oh wait, there's also Arts and Crafts Wabbit. Nope, I'm just gonna post Sam 100 times. Autumn Time Splash Art begins a trend of various art games for the season. You can finish the drawing or you can colour the existing one. These games are fine, there's a lot of them on the Boomerang site, so brace yourself. Boomerang Portrait Maker allows you to upload images or use your webcam to adjust them, so I took this already cursed image and added Elmer's angry eyes to it. Halloween Splash Art is another splash art game, nothing more to add. Let's create with new Looney Tunes. I love how the title says Wabbit still, because that's what it was called at first, and it didn't do well. Looney Tunes Quiz is the easiest quiz ever, you will definitely get all of them right. Mountain Madness is actually awesome. It's like a reverse Catherine in the sense that Bugs Bunny has massive tits and is extremely flirty with you. Wait, no, it's more in the sense that it's just a blocky mountain. Maybe it's not actually like Catherine at all. It's fun though. Secret Pictures is a slide puzzle, and I was delighted that I actually beat one. Space Jam and New Legacy Pinball. I remember when there was a real Space Jam pinball table? Well, there's a digital one for the sequel. This is actually pretty fun, not gonna lie. I probably got into this, but then again, it's just pinball. I'd probably get into it if it was based around my irritable bowel syndrome as well. Splash Art is back, but this time it's spring. I was cheated! Lola is on the title screen, but she's not in the images to colour in. What? Summertime Splash Art is next. Please let this be the last. Oh, actually it might be. Hey. Okay, are you ready for genuinely my favourite Flash game? The Looney Tunes cartoon series, you know, the newest one, that is a phenomenal series of cartoons. Super funny, super dark, and it rivals the original. The first cartoon they show is Temple of the Monkeybird, and they made a game off of it. It's a fun puzzle game where you control both Daffy and Porky trying to solve the puzzle to escape the room, whilst also getting all of the gems. It's such a simple game, but it's really fun. The art is lovely, and I just got hooked. Apparently it's only had 4,800 total plays, so I guess some of Boomerang's games aren't played that much, which is a shame. Winter Jigsaw Puzzle is another easy jigsaw. Winter Spot the Difference is the easiest Spot the Difference game. That's kind of nice, I guess. Space Jam Nothing But Net is super cursed. I love everything about this. This version of Space Jam is a better basketball game than the PS1 game. It's less interesting, but it's still better. Wait, there's more paper time? Make 'em race in the Great Paper Chase. This time I can create a hot air balloon. I've named it Perfection, and Perfection is gonna win. Ah, perfection. Space Jam Concentration is... well, let's just see me play it, shall we? Sniffles! 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 There's a Sniffles game! Yes! Oh my god. 300 plus games, and it comes to the dumbest Match-A-Pairs Flash game. Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, don't worry, we're not done with the Flash games just yet. Nimble Ninjas are trying to kill Bugs Bunny. Why? I don't know. Just because I play these games doesn't mean I have all the answers. Robot Rampage is actually kind of awesome. You play as Daffy or Marvin, taking down endless hordes of enemies, and it's pretty fun and looks visually great. Robot Rampage 2 changes it up and makes it a more level-based progression. The game was super broken, so none of the text showed up, but you get so many cool weapons to try, and I actually had a blast. Massive respect to the creators of these. Die Hard Paintball was weird just because it's the Looney Tunes in Bedrock. Next is a Looney Tunes Animal Quiz, and again, it is the easiest quiz ever. You'll get all 12 right, no matter how much they try to flatter you at the end. A Space Jam and New Legacy Easy Jigsaw! Wow! Please stop. Game Fun Race 3D Baldi's Basics Online. I love this so much. A racing game featuring Baldi's Basics, Mario, Sonic, Crash, and Bugs Bunny. This is so stupid, but it exists, and I'm so glad it does. What an absolute treat. Bugs Bunny's Crazy Adventure isn't a Flash game, but a game I had to download on Game Jolt. Oh yeah, I was thorough. I went to every site I could think of and could find to grab all of these forgotten relics. This is someone's attempt at making a new Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle, and whilst the enemies are absent, actually it's pretty cool. I could see some good ideas in the level design, and the mechanics of the original game worked, so congratulations to the creator. Speaking of being thorough though, here's the Newgrounds block. Don't worry, there's only 10 of them. Yeah, I was surprised too, but it turns out there's a lot more animations than games. There are 7 big Chungus games. 2 of them are clicker games to become the ultimate meme lord Chungus Supreme or something. 2 of them are the same game, but one of them has swearing over it. Pick a spot, if you're wrong, you lose, it is literally just guessing. The Newgrounds games are like a contest to see who can annoy me the quickest. And then the final 3 Chungus games are at least platformers. One, you have to avoid the ESRB logos, another you have to collect items and dodge a giant spider, and the final you have to collect carrots to be the almighty Big Chungus. It says I am the biggest Chungus, but there is a bigger Chungus literally on the screen. You are lying to my face. The final 3 games are different variations of Kill the Looney Tunes games, with Looney Tunes Duck Hunt, Looney Tunes Test, and Looney Tunes Shooting Game. I want you to appreciate the absolute insanity of Looney Tunes Shooting Game. I may as well mention one other game, a porn game called Lola Giving Bugs Bunny a Lucky Rabbit's Foot Rub. Yep, I'm not showing it, but it exists. I didn't even come once, super boring. Next we have the itch.io block. Of course there are some, but not as many as you'd think. There's a couple which I'm not including because they either lead to no downloads, they flat out don't work, have stories of containing viruses, or are incredibly offensive. Big Chungus Returns demo has the Chungus himself shit all over bugs whilst Megalovania plays. Big Chungus is an online multiplayer game. Given that it's a meme game on itch.io, there wasn't anyone else online, so enjoy these screenshots. Big Chungus Game, yeah, all of these are going to have very similar names, was actually a surprising amount of fun. Pick up all the carrots before the ghost of Elmer gets ya. Big Chungus Defenders relies on your ability to mow down all the Chunguses. Chungai? Squab Wart 3 Return of the Big Chungus is a battle to the death! Only the memeiest will survive. Big Chungus tries not to be the sus imposter while shopping at Walmart for eggs is a game that someone made. I do not know how to process what I'm looking at. Big Chungus is a 2D platformer. It doesn't offend my eyes, thank you. The dawning of Big Chungus isn't really about Big Chungus, but these screenshots are what it looks like. I can't play the game. I was actually enjoying Big Chungus Adventure, but then the screen didn't scroll and it became very hard to survive. Juicy Game, when you gotta get the juice before the game runs out of juice. Chungus Humongous tried to jump scare me. It was very loud and I knew it was coming, so I turned my audio down. Haha, you cannot best me! Before we can proceed, Big Chungus Adventures forces us to press F to pay respects. Big Chungus full game costs $3 for this? Oh, shame I just watched the YouTube video. Oh no. There's another game called Big Chungus Eats Apples, which is $5. Don't know what it's like, don't care, not getting it, but it's there. Big Chungus the game is worth it for Elmer's explosions every time. Big Chungus Horror Night apparently crashed someone's PC. Not touching it. Enjoy Creepy Chungus. Big Chungus 4 Operation Diamond is the final Chungus game! We're free! Hunting season is silly, but really fun. If Elmer shoots Granny, the police arrest him, as they should. Shoutouts to Rodrigo de Cos Gariziak, for they made 3 Tiny Toon games and are legit pretty great. The first is Plucky Duck in the Search of the Treasure of Carrotland. Babs will platform and become massive upon eating cake as a form of new platforming puzzles. Yeah, it's alright, it's pretty fun, it's not too bad. But, now's where the fun begins. The other one is a double pack ROM you download and play on the actual Game Boy emulator. Babs is enjoying her dessert when suddenly some dick breathes smoke in her face. What follows is an awesome puzzle game. Genuinely, this is fantastic. Rivals the best of the Tiny Toons releases. Also, the sprite work is mwah. The other game bundled with it is Beach Follies. Try to blow up the beach balls before Felix the cat. Fun enough, but oh my word, I can blow up Felix. This is amazing. I love it. Thank you for the rad games you made. Genuinely, I had a good time. Alright, we're finally moving on to our final Flash game, and I promise it's interesting. Let's talk about Desert Rally. There was a trilogy of Flash animations called Junkyard Run, and this was made based on that in 2001. This racing game is fine, it's too fast and a little uncontrollable, so it's hard to beat the already strict time limit, but that's not what's interesting. What's actually interesting is the Junkyard Run game. According to the Looney Tunes Wikia, this is a game from 1998 and even features Joe Lasky as a voice actor in the game. I have no idea what the game is like or how big it is because this image is all that remains. I have scoured the internet and no one knows anything about it. Even the wiki is incredibly sparse. I genuinely questioned whether this game was real, and I thought for a bit maybe it's just Desert Rally, but no, I believe this is its own thing, just totally lost to time. But that's it, that's the Flash game block over, oh my word! We can all breathe, a sigh of relief. Then you can look at the timestamp, realise there's probably still like 20 to 30 minutes left, and then comment and subscribe. Tell me, what was your favourite Flash game? If the answer is none, that's perfectly valid. Let's go back to the classics. Daffy Duck Foul Play definitely got inspired by a cartoon where Bugs and Daffy race for $1 million. Because you play as Daffy and the boss for every level is Bugs and you blow him up with dynamite. Also, Bugs is Dr. Wily in the final boss. I love this game, it's genuinely a lot of fun. But huge respect to whoever animated the level clear screen, they went all out. Tasmanian Devil Munching Madness. Okay, I don't know if it's just me, but I had a hard time with this one. But there are things I enjoyed. First off, the first level's music is a bop. But, and I don't know if you'll see where I'm coming from, the music reminds me of Action 52 music. Have a listen. When you collect a coin, Taz does a future Fortnite dance, and after seeing that, there is nothing stopping you from moving on to a different game. It's time for the final Speedy game in Speedy Gonzales Arctic Adventure. But what do I think? This is easily my favourite one. It's so fun, you feel so fast, and the level design is so good, and then you ride a speedboat for some reason. Yeah, it's great. If you're gonna try any Speedy Gonzales game, make it this one. You'll have a great time. Do you like sports? Do you like space? Do you like sports in space? Then you'll love Looney Tunes Galactic Sports. Huh? Oh right, do you like the PlayStation Vita? Oh, you don't have one? Well, I guess you won't be playing this then. In many ways, this is arguably one of the rarer games in the list because of that. There's racing, space golf, not to be confused with regular golf, boxing, and a target practice thing that requires you to use the motion controls of your Vita, which is definitely a fun experience, it definitely works. I'm perhaps being a bit harsh, but the game is kinda boring. I'm sorry, that's the way it is sometimes. In space, no one can hear you scream about the tediousness of Looney Tunes Galactic Sports. Looney Tunes Cartoon Conductor is a DS game massively inspired by Osu. The gameplay is pretty similar, but my favourite thing to do in this game is mess up the music. It turns out being bad at the game is actually a benefit, because the music warps when it goes wrong. Jesus! Looney Tunes Monster Match is, unsurprisingly, a swipe and match game like Candy Crush or Puzzle and Dragons, except it was released in 2009. You are Bugs, and you have to face horrifying cursed versions of characters, like this version of Speedy. That's not Speedy, get that thing off my screen. You take it in turns and try to inflict pain on the other. It's a little different, I guess. I think? I don't really play these types of games often. Look at these independent fellas, they don't live 9 to 5s. Monsters lead such interesting lives. The final DS game is Galactic Tazball. You move by using the stylus to rotate a wheel. This controls your speed, your rotation, everything, and it is incredibly awkward. Do you remember when computer mice used to have those little balls underneath? It's kind of like that. But I got into this game. By the end of the first level, I was sort of in the groove and I respected it. It's not for everyone, but I'll praise its guts. It's a bold choice. Okay, this is really cool. Looney Tunes Click and Read Phonics is an early learning game, basically to teach very young children how to read and pronounce words. There are 6 unique cartoons for it, which you can view uninterrupted, but if you actually want to learn, there's 100 lessons per cartoon. I don't know how well it actually teaches children, but I respect its existence. Also, I like how the teaching for Oi has wanker scattered for the options. Oi wanker, how about you learn something, why don't ya? How are we at the point where I'm showing you Lego Batman 3? This game features the green loon turn from Duck Dodgers, so it technically falls into the category for this video. Lego Batman 3 plays like all the other Lego games. It's fun and has nothing to do with Looney Tunes. Let's move on. Oh my gosh. Scooby-Doo and Looney Tunes Cartoon Universe Adventure is a weird trip if you're not familiar with the Looney Tunes show. The different personalities and the voices of the characters will be jarring, but we'll get to that. First off, you pick an OC, mine is a zebra. Then you see Daffy and Bugs talking and arguing, and wow, they look disgusting, and their voice actors are phoning it in. They are really not good in this one.
What the mock me? Everything we own is an ACME product. Maybe I should have read the instructions first. Huh. What was that?
Someone's at the door.
Bugs says that his new friend is coming round, and that's where we come in. Why do we know Bugs? Dunno. Who are we? Dunno. Why are we not playing as any of the Looney Tunes characters? Do not know! I hate how the game controls well and is actually fundamentally fun to play. It irks me because the rest is just not a Looney Tunes game. Oh right, Scooby-Doo, where does that come into play? It's a separate story within the game. At the beginning, Scooby's just on a ship for some reason and is warned about a ghost. Where is the rest of the gang? Dunno. Why am I, the zebra here? Don't know. There is literally no context for our existence or our connection. What a train wreck of a game! And I just can't get over the fact that it feels fun to play! I mean, it's bare bones platforming, but it's not bad. This is the most frustratingly polarizing game here. What a revolting development this is. We have to end the video with something special, and I think I have just the thing. There have been 5 cancelled games of note over the years. However, they all share one important thing. Every single one of them contains a ROM to play them in an early state. So let's take a look at the games that could have been. Sylvester and Tweety was cancelled for the SNES in 1993. It's clear this was a tech demo to show what the game could look like, but the animations are fantastic. I'm sure if they were given the opportunity, they could have made something really great. This next one has multiple names: Tiny Toons Adventures, Tiny Toons Plucky Duck, or Tiny Toons Plucky Duck in Hollywood Hijinks for the Atari Jaguar 1994. This game again is very unfinished, no real surprise there, but I absolutely love walking through the background on parts I'm not supposed to. That will never not be funny to me. Wile's Revenge was cut short on the SNES in 1995, and boy is it a shame, because this game has some excellent gameplay ideas. It's actually one of my favourite Wile Roadrunner games. Excellent platformer, excellent concepts, excellent animations. It's just a big shame. Tiny Toons Adventures Defenders of the Universe for PS2 and GameCube in 2002. This is a fascinating one. I know that this is a very long time ago, but do you remember I mentioned the dev team Treasure only made one game? Well, they only released one, but this is theirs too. This game, bar a few text errors, is complete. And yes, there is a playable ROM for it. Why did a basically finished game get terminated? Apparently, the publishers, Conspiracy Entertainment, had financial trouble. I wonder if there's a conspiracy there. This is disappointing to say the least, but to give you an idea of how close this was to releasing, it was even evaluated by the ESRB. So what is it? Aliens have fled to Earth to escape a war, and they came to Earth because the people of the planet are hostile and dangerous enough to help. Yeah, that checks out. The Tiny Toons cast help out with a very unique gameplay idea. At least, I've not seen it before. It's essentially like a game of dodgeball, except also it is not. You throw balls and rocks and dynamite and stuff at the enemies in fun linear passageways or arenas, and it's super intense. I really like what they've got going here. It's tough to master, but I definitely see it as the kind of game people would rave about playing as a kid. It's a shame it was never released. There was also a Flash site for the game called Dotu.com. As far as I can work out, there weren't any Flash games here. It was purely used for promotional purposes until it was confirmed the game was indefinitely cancelled, at which point the website went defunct. And finally, Daffy Duck in the Great Paint Caper for Commodore 64 in 1992 was a game that apparently a lot of people were looking forward to at the time. Unfortunately, prior to the mastering stage, the developer's high-tech software were no more. However, somehow, 250 copies made its way to the British store WH Smith and were sold, hence why now we have a basically near-complete version. All 7 levels are fully playable, it just doesn't have music or most sound effects. Honestly, it's a solid 2D platformer with great platforming, and at certain segments, proper dialogue options and item fetch quests for the other characters you interact with. It's so impressive. Like all the others, it's such a shame it didn't officially get released, but I'm glad we can appreciate how cool all of these games are, and how lucky we are to be able to see them at all. And with that, we're done. Oh my gosh, that was 430 Looney Tunes games. Wow. Thank you so much for watching, it truly means a lot. Looney Tunes has had such a rich history with its games, but I'm sure it's not over yet. I mentioned Multiversus earlier, and that's got another beta just a couple days after this video releases. We don't know of anything specifically Looney Tunes related releasing in the game world, but I'd be up for seeing something like a Fall Guys collaboration. That would fit right at home. Maybe not Big Chungus, but I can't deny that the Fall Guy build is pretty accurate, so... There's also a lot of shows and movies releasing in the next year, just out of nowhere. The movie King Tweety came out last month, Looney Tunes Cartoons continues to get released, Tiny Toons Looniversity is releasing later this year, Bugs Bunny Builders is a new show aimed at preschool children releasing a week after this video releases, Bye Bye Bunny will be a movie that's a full-blown musical, I'm kinda hyped about this one. The Day the Earth Blew Up is a Daffy and Porky film about uncovering an alien plot, and finally Tweety Mysteries, not to be confused with Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, is apparently a live-action animation hybrid. I don't know how any of these are going to turn out, but Looney Tunes isn't going anywhere soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'd very much appreciate it if you left a like, comment on your favourite games from the video, subscribe. I'm getting close to 100,000 subscribers. I'm trying to get there, so if you could subscribe, it really means a lot. Share the video around with 1 million of your friends, please, so I can get to 1 million subscribers. That's not going to happen. Because, yeah, no, this video took so long to make. If you want to see more of my stuff, I recommend checking out the Best Of playlist, which is best moments from my playthroughs and of the year and stuff, and also the Teal's Tales playlist, because it's a bunch of videos like this, and some gaming quizzes, and just a lot of really fun stuff. I also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me and the channel. Huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, and especially the Master Tier supporters. That's Kidgebuzz, Melvin Windhagen, Darkfang, Wrathchild1995, Sev Fora, The Luminance Gamer, TARDIS Type 40, Jayet, Sarah Essex, and Daniel Pace. Also, massive thanks to the Multicoloured Wiggle for some additional research and advice, a bunch of channels for footage that I couldn't get myself, like the pinball tables, incredibly huge thanks to my friend Emil for the intro stage art and my new logo. You should absolutely hire him for your projects, he's incredible and his rates are ridiculously fair. And thank you to all of the developers of each game for all their hard work throughout the years. Without them, this video simply wouldn't be possible. I'm gonna go now. I think I need a break. I sure hope I didn't miss a game. Oh, that would be tragic. I probably did, to be honest. But if so, that might be the most loony thing of all. See ya. Take care.